later you indicated that they weren't for sale. They were there to be serviced. They just still had your stickers on them. Okay. They also noted that when they went to your place, they couldn't access your dealer records. You had one set of names on the wall for salespeople. Your website showed different people, and the motor vehicle dealer board just had you. They came back to re-inspect a couple of days later. Several of the deal folders were missing. The vehicles that were listed that were at that other location at the inspection station weren't in your records at all. And so this is how we ended up with the recommendation that you get a fine for having a supplemental sales location, which is listing the cars at the other, or having the cars at the other place shown for sale, that you had some state inspections missing in your record keeping, that you did have buyer's guides in some of your vehicles, and that you had people essentially selling cars that weren't licensed yet. That's what the 4 fines are for. Okay. So at this point, I'll go ahead and let you fill everybody in.
The first one on the dealer's side, I pretty much make sure all the signs, because she off the cars that I sold, and I'm getting the inventory of all the cars. So it was a brand new software, and I told her, if you can wait, I can call the support and get the help from the software, because it was a dealer central software. And it was a pretty new software for me, and I couldn't able to print out those customized list of the cars that she was asking in the manual. And she said, I'm gonna come tomorrow. And she came back tomorrow, and I produced all the documents. All the deal jackets were there. So I produced all the documents she wanted to have, and I gave her. The cars that parked on the other location was for the inspection solely. Yes, there are that I can accept my mistake that a couple of the cars have the for sale sign. I don't know. It went over there for the inspection, has a sign, and she took the pictures, and I accept that mistake. Okay, but I never sell any car from that location. It's a mechanic shop. Like, they do the repairs and inspections. So I sell my cars from my shop.
I've got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
You've been through the dealer operator class, right?
Yeah.
The cars you had at the other location, they were parked on the grass for sale signs on them. They were not parked in the parking lot, dropping them off for inspection. Because I used to do the same thing. My cars have a placard that used to have a placard that said for sale. So even when I took them to the inspection station, I was in violation because they were for sale in somebody else's parking lot. But you physically had them on the grass at the place, and people don't park cars on the grass when you're a customer. Okay. So I don't know what the deal is. You got to come clean with that. This is one of those deals where we want to hear you tell us, hey, I made the mistake, I'm not going to make it again, kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because if I see obvious and I hear you, blowing smoke at me, I'm not going to be as apt to try to help you.
I'm absolutely very honest.
Okay.
It's a very tiny spot, right? So the inspection facility, and I think they park the cars towards, because they bring more cars in. So in and out for that reason, they parked a couple cars on the grass side.
They were displayed nice and neatly.
It looks
like that's why I'm concerned with you not coming here clean and saying, hey guys, I screwed up. Okay, that's
what I said. I said I accept.
Okay.
Yeah.
When we do the class, I say, if you mess up with the motor vehicle dealer board, come in front of us, tell us what you did wrong, tell us you're not going to do it again, you fixed it, and then move on down the road. That's kind of where I'm.
Yeah,
I just think with the guys, the savvy people on this board here, you're going to get a lot more leniency if you're clean and you tell us you messed up. And this is my testimony to you guys. I've audited a few dealers, new dealers who have come through the dealer operator class. It's 2 days of like fire hydrant information. They get a book, they get an instruction manual. It tells them what to do, what not to do. Tommy's very good at making sure everything's in the book. They get to take it home with them. But most of these dealers, they jump in, they get a dealer center software, and next thing you know, they're selling stuff and they have no idea what they're doing. I audited a guy's deals the other day, 60 files, 60 problems. It was just incredible. So I think that we have an opportunity to better that, and we're going to work on that as an association. But I'm just telling you, in your interest, it's probably best for you to say, hey, I got a problem, I'm fixing it, blah, blah, blah.
And I fixed that problem, but it should be like, because I'm on the learning curve. This is my first year in Virginia to learn about the car business, right? So it should be nice that, if she's trying to give me a warning, like you doing it this way, this is not the right way. I can improvise, I can fix that problem. But I don't think so, it was that way, you know.
It's in your best interest to get it right. And the field reps come to you because they want to make sure you're getting it right. So sometimes a fine like this, paying attention to what's going on gives you an opportunity to get better.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I get it.
So what's the deal with the licensed salespeople? You're showing the only licensed salesperson at your location,
Yes,
and yet you had the names of other people on your website listed
They're
as sales.
they are bots, completely AI bots.
Okay. So you're doing it to make it look like you have other people, like, I mean, so not in a deceptive way, but
No, I was trying, the first initial, the beta version of the website, I have a person on that website that I interviewed, but he never showed up, never hiding. But the other of them, it says they are AI bots. So OfferUp has an AI bot separate, Facebook has an AI bot, and then I have the Craigslist AI bot. So these are the bots, the AI, it's just the answer, the direction, the location, that's it. If they ask, it's available, it says, this is the address, yes, it's available. So these are the AI bots, depending on the question, you know, what is the question is coming in the queue.
but you also add the name of somebody on the wall as well. Saeed.
Yeah, in
Barzal?
sales, yes, in sales, yes, we started as, so it's, Mr. Saeed was about, he already took the test and passed the exam, right? And so he was about to be in the sales, but the time she came in, he literally passed that after a couple of days, you know, and she said, you know, once he has the certification, you can put his name on the ball. And I said, okay, I don't know that, and I accept that, and I take out the name from the wall. So he's not the salesman at that moment. So he was in the process, so he just, you know, put the exam and all that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So does anybody on the committee have any other questions? So again, the recommendation, I think originally they fined you $1,500, and then you went in for the hearing and it got dropped to 1,000. Plus a reinspection, which you're always going to get, and then they're recommending that you go reattend the dealer operator class. That's what we have in front of us as the hearing officer organization. We have a motion.
I've got a couple more questions if I could.
Okay.
I'm seeing on the sheet, you're showing two different processing fees.
No, there's only one. The processing fee.
You're showing a $599 processing fee and a $300 processing fee.
No, we started with 300 and then I submit the form. I went to the DMV board. Right there, next block, submit the new form. They take my form for $599.
Okay, so it just changed. So you did the form as far as
Exactly.
to, because I just saw on one of the pieces of paper that it said 300 at the top and then $599 at the bottom, or vice versa, $599 and 300 down on the actual plug-in. Sometimes I notice that it's like everything from what the rep, the DMV rep.
MVDB rep.
Yeah, thank you. Everything is, you didn't know. That you didn't learn that, and I'm trying to figure out.
So
It just seems like from the get-go, you've had violation. I'm just trying to figure out where the
well,
problem
in
lies.
learning, yes, I try to learn pretty much from the class. But in practically, you know, like when you do hands-on practice, right? Yes, there are some errors and I learned from those errors. So yeah, I made some errors.
Mr. Watt.
Yeah, good.
So you made mistakes. You understand the one mistake that you made with the licensed salesperson. Can you tell us what it takes to get that person's name on the wall as a licensed salesperson? What you've learned from that mistake?
Well, absolutely, it was not a go green signal for me. I mean, he was taking an exam and he was in the process and I put the names on his wall.
That's
So,
fine, but what do you have to do to get his name on the wall today? What do you have to do?
well, absolutely has to go through a process, which is he has to take the class again on his certification and then I'm gonna hire him. And he's gonna be a salesperson in my class.
The answer is no, he doesn't know.
You don't know. So the answer is, he's a hired employee. He took the training, passed the test. Had a background investigation, passed a background investigation. He submitted the paperwork to the motor vehicle dealer board to get a license. And he gets a license physically returned to you. You have his license in hand. He carries a copy. You put his name on the wall. That's the only way he gets it.
Okay. I mean, absolutely, he's gonna go with the process that he has to. Like submitting documents, getting a license, background. I think so you already passed the background and everything.
Do we have any other questions?
I I think if you look at this here, this is probably $5,000 worth of violations. You know, $1,000 a pop, you know, parking cars on the curb. They're obviously, but I think that the motor vehicle dealer board has done a great job on identifying the problems, bringing it to his attention. And I think the $1,000 fine is what we call an education. And I think it's more than fair. So I'll make a motion. We accept the hearing officer's recommendation.
Second. So we have a motion from Chris Mayer that we accept the hearing officer's recommendation of $1,000 fine. It's $250 for 1516, $250 for 1529, $250 for 1529.1, and $215 for 1537. The dealer has to take the dealer operator course and successful reinspection. Mr. Tim Bohanka seconded the motion. Do we have any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So this is what happens next. One, I appreciate you coming in. A lot of people don't show up, so we do appreciate that. You know, the intention is to try to make sure we get dealers that are doing the right stuff. After this committee meeting's done, we'll go through some other committee meetings, then we'll have a full board meeting. This is going to come back up again. You give an opportunity to speak again if you'd like. The entire board might have questions, so I encourage you to stick around for that, okay?
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
All right, so William, moving on to tab 2.
Tab 2, All Stars Automotive and Rene, Carey. On September 11th, 2024, an informal fact-finding conference was conducted to address the alleged violations of Virginia Code Sections 46.2-1533 and 46.2-1575, number 2. Based on the information provided at the conference, the hearing officer recommended assessing a civil penalty of $750, a satisfactory inspection by February 1st, 2025, and successful completion of the 2-day dealer operator course.
Okay, is there anybody here from All Stars Automotive? No. All right, so I'll just summarize the case. Basically, this dealers had some issues. They were fined back in 2022, almost 12 grand for inspection issues, transport tag issues. While they were paying the fine, they failed another inspection, but then were just given a warning. Then they were inspected twice this year, but never given any notice to the board. We showed up 2 different times. They're not there. The narrative talks about they were health issues. They were trying to relocate the business, leases, city requirements, but long and short, they didn't notify the board. They weren't there. They've now moved to a completely different location. They're in Rockville now, but basically with the hearing officer's recommendation was $500 for failure to maintain business hours twice and $250 for failing to comply with a written warning, reinspection, and a dealer taking the dealer operator course. So we're going to hold them to a reinspection in their new location then, correct?
Rockville,
They're not
Rockville
in
where?
Virginia anymore?
Yeah.
They're in Virginia, Rockville, Virginia. It's outside of Richmond.
Okay.
The new facility has to be inspected
Yeah.
before we will open.
Are they, is she not?
Lisa, Okay, so we did the inspection, the normal process, so yes.
So there'll be another inspection then, according to this,
Yeah.
if we order.
Yeah, because we need to see the records.
Okay. Does anybody have any comments or want to make a motion? I can't make the motion.
I'm gonna let somebody else make the motion.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, what's your motion?
Since
To-
you're not here.
Yeah, to accept the,
The hearing officer's recommendation of a $750 fine, re-inspection, and taking the dealer operator course. Do we have a second?
Second.
Ms. Triplett, Melissa made the motion. Ms. Triplett made the seconded it. Okay. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, William, tab 3.
Street Action Discount Auto Sales and Donald J. Neal. On September the 12th, 2024, an informal fact-finding conference was conducted to address the alleged violations of Virginia Code Sections 46.2-1533 and 46.2-1575, number 2. Based on information provided at the conference, the hearing officer recommended assessing a civil penalty of $750, a satisfactory inspection within 90 days.
So obviously there's somebody here to speak. Will you want to introduce yourself? Let us know who you are, and then I'm gonna, before you get to your statement, I'm gonna just summarize the case, okay?
My name is Donald Neal, Senior, the owner of Street Action Discount Auto Sales.
Well, we appreciate you coming in, Mr. Neal. Thank you. So it looks like, according to the narrative in the case, back in January, you were fined for failing to maintain your business hours. You paid a fine of $750. Then we came back in July twice, and both times you were closed as well when we came back in July. You've indicated that you've had some health issues, but you're better now.
That's a John Jeff of mine.
It wasn't you having the health issues, that right? It was the gentleman there. And then you were advised again, basically all you have to do is notify the dealer board. It's a pretty simple process to let the dealer board know, let your rep know that you're not going to be able to make it, you're sick, there's some other issue. You have a certain number of times you can do that before it becomes an issue, but the dealer board is pretty lenient about it. And then the recommendation, as William said, was again to fine you $750 this time. So I'll let you take a minute and then let the committee ask you some questions that they have. Okay?
Well, first of all, I thank the dealer board for doing what they're doing, looking at the situation. It was not something that we was trying to do. It just was a whole lot of things that's taking place, and such as my wife, she used to man the office most of the time, but she passed away in May the 10th. And then John, he had health problems, the dealer operator, which was canceled. He had treatments during that time. So we had my son, Donald Neal Jr., was manning, and he was trying to do the best he can to take care of business. But I have no excuses whatsoever. We just dropped the ball on the sense of notifying the dealer board at the time that we was going to be closed. And it was not really closed that they made some hours out for lunch or things of that nature. Right.
Well, I appreciate that. And you understand the issue before us is that it's like, this is all in 1 year, and we've had it. It's been kind of repetitive, maybe for different reasons, but you already got fined for it once. And then we come back around 6 months later. You know, the dealer board has pretty liberal hours. You're only required to be open
20 hours.
20 hours a week and 10 during.
9 to 5, Monday through Friday.
So it's a very narrow thing. And when you run into a situation where you've got health issues or something comes up, sending in supplemental hours to the board is easy. All you have to do is email. There's a form you can fill out, say, hey, we've got this issue going on. We've had people come before the board and, you know, they complain that they always have to go do this at noon. And we'll just change your hours so you're not open at noon. So That's the bigger issue. I mean, I will say that the hearing officer just recommended a follow-up inspection. They didn't recommend sending you back because it seems like you know what you're doing wrong here. Anyway, anybody on the committee have any questions or?
Sir, good
so-
morning. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. So you're 30 years in business.
Yes.
Is that correct? Are you actively involved in the business, the day-to-day operation of the business? Yes or no?
Yes, I am, but no, I'm working at present because I had to get some solid insurance because of what my wife is going through, heart problem.
So I'm so sorry to hear about your wife, sir.
On in Rifle County,
Okay, so you are not working at the dealership full-time right now?
not full time.
Who's working at the dealership full-time right now?
My son, Donald Neal.
Morning, Donald. How are you? You were fined in February $750 for not being open.
Yes,
And that was due to what was the reason for that?
that was the keeping the hours.
I know, I understand what it was for. What was going on in your world at that time in February? Why were we not keeping the hours?
It was
Yeah.
January.
Was it January? Where you're fined in February? Also presented the fines totaling $750 were in February 24.
Right.
So you were fined earlier this year.
Right. That's what's my dealer operator wanting for treatments for his cancer. He's
Okay,
the one usually be manned in the office now since my wife passed away.
okay. Have you solved the problem since then?
Yes.
In 30 years in
And when we
business, have you
found
been in 30 years in business, have you been in front of the board before?
No, sir.
Not one
When
time.
I walked in, I said, oh my goodness, I had never been.
So in
here.
30 years, the only thing that happened started this year in February. And
It was actually the end of last year. That it
well,
started.
they fined him in February.
Right.
Um. Okay, that's all I need to know. Thank you, sir.
Have you considered your son to become a dealer operator?
Yes. Yes,
Is he
sir.
doing that?
But he's gonna start working on that right now. And John, he's much better now. Only reason he wasn't able to make it, he had elders he had to take care of this morning. But we wanna get both of them to have those licenses, which I already have mine too, but right now I need to be in Rifle County.
Right.
Okay.
So are you the primary dealer operator?
No, John.
John.
Is the primary. I just keeps my license up so I don't lose it.
Mm-hmm. So, and you say he's in good health now, you're not gonna have any problems having someone there?
But he still just finished his treatment, so you know cancer, you don't know what it might take to show after that, but
So is your son working there full time?
yes,
Okay, so. Or you have someone there to show your records
oh yeah,
or inspection?
Yes, definitely.
Chris,
I'd like to make a motion. You know, we try to keep things pretty straight and narrow, pretty common, but we have a human element to look at here. Cancer, his wife passed away earlier this year. His general manager had cancer, just gone through treatments. These are real things that happen in our lives. They affect our lives, and we have the ability as the board to make decisions based on facts. So that fact being stated, I'm willing to go ahead and step up and give you a warning for this violation. And in lieu of the fact, well, I can't make you, but your son should come through the dealer operator class so he understands what's going on. But the fact you've been in business for 30 years and you've only had 2 problems in 30 years, I commend you. And I thank you for your industry service. And I'd make the motion that we waive the fee. We give him a warning and he can do, is there a follow-up inspection on that or no?
yes.
Yeah, follow-up inspection. So that's my motion, sir.
I'll second that motion.
All right. So Chris Mayer's made a motion that we zero out the fines and that we just issue a follow-up inspection in 90 days. Don Sullivan has seconded that motion. Do we have discussion? I guess I'm gonna just play devil's advocate. It doesn't have anything to do with you guys and your story, and I feel bad for your story. It's just Chris and I always go back and forth with this sort of thing. I just have a precedence issue here that you got a dealer that ran into these troubles earlier in the year. They paid a fine. They were warned about it. They were explained what they needed to do about it. And then twice after that, they had the same problem, which caused time and effort for the board to have to go inspect and all the rest of that. So I'll just say that I want that noted. The other thing, William, unrelated, is that the dates in the hearing officer's recommendation, the dates under 1533, which I guess don't make any difference at this point if the committee are wrong. They're October 11th and November 2nd, 2022. They probably need to be corrected for the record. So, all right. So, is there any other discussion?
Mr. Wiley, just to comment on your comment, I can appreciate your comment and it is valid, which is why I addressed the board the way I did before I made the motion.
Okay. All right. So the motion is for to waive the fines, a follow-up inspection within 90 days. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? I'm going to oppose it just for the record. So, all right. Thank you. You guys again, same deal. This is going to come before the whole board in probably an hour or so. And the whole board is the one that makes the actual decision. This is just a committee recommendation. So you might want to stick around for that. Okay. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you, sir.
All right, William, moving on to tab 4.
Auto Buying Service and Usman, Nasim. On September 25th, 2024, an informal fact-finding conference was conducted to address the alleged violations of Virginia Code Sections 46.2-1529, 46.2-1550.2, 46.2-1575, number 2, and 46.2-1575, number 6. Based on information provided at the conference, the hearing officer recommended assessing a civil penalty of $18,250 and a satisfactory inspection within 90 days.
Is there anybody here to just
Come back. Mr. Chairman, I do apologize. This individual said he would not be available and asked us to defer this to January. So this one has been deferred to January.
Okay. Fair enough. Scratch that. Move on to tab 5.
Can I ask a question about that?
Me too.
Yeah. You got an $18,000 fine. You got to deal with all kinds of stuff going on, and we're just gonna like throw it out there till January.
And only because he came to us, said he couldn't be available, he wanted to be here. And had we done that, then he wouldn't be on the docket right now.
I mean, I get it. It's pretty. This is not not opening things. It's $250 fine. It's an $18,000 fine with lots of stuff in it.
Understood. Whenever we've had people come to us say they want to be and can't be here, we have deferred in the past. To me, this was no different. I don't remember the situation exactly. Lisa, was this a medical situation?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
I'm
That
just
answers-
wondering, and that definitely is a valid reason. But in January, can this be deferred again?
No. What'll happen in January is that it'll be tried with
Or without?
without. And
Okay,
if he doesn't like the outcome, he can always appeal it.
right, okay.
Yes.
Okay. So
And if we move forward today, he could appeal it.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just need to know what you just told me, so thank you. That's great.
all right. So we're moving on to tab 5, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Tab 5.
Okay, tab 5, Car Zone and Maroun Chaoul. On September 17th, 2024, An informal fact-finding conference was conducted to address the alleged violations of Virginia Code Sections 46.2-1529, 46.2-1542C, 46.2-1550, number 2, 46.2-1575, number 2, and 46.2-1575, number 6. Based on information provided at the conference, the hearing officer recommended assessing a civil penalty of $4,000. A satisfactory inspection of dealer records with the dealer present, and completion of a 2-day dealer operator course.
Is anybody here to speak to this tab? Car zone. All right, well, if you read this narrative, this dealer's been in business for a while. They haven't had a successful inspection since 2006. Long history. Well, that's what it says. That's what the narrative said.
Yeah.
Now that may be an unsuccessful inspection, could just be one or two things noted, so.
22 years in business.
Yeah, they have issues with title work, print on demand, record keeping, the current issues, and back in May, they found several issues, including missing buyer's orders, print on demand tag discrepancies, missing records for transport tags. The dealer also admits to holding customers' permanent plates if they owe him money. So if somebody has like a note due to the dealer, come to get the permanent plates, even if he's actually issued those plates, he won't give them plates. He issues another set of temp tags, which is clearly improper. And then the hearing officer recommended a $4,000 fine. I'm guessing just looking at the line, this was based on the number of items they found. So they $4,000 fine, satisfactory inspection of their records, and with the dealer present and proper use of the print on demand system and successful completion of the 2-day dealer operator course. I don't know the specific number of print on demand violations that they had. But we've been pretty harsh about those with other dealers. I'll just make that comment, so. Any discussion from the committee?
There's a lot of things in here that are interesting. And I'm just reading some of this, that he's charging the wrong sale, he's charging the wrong licensing fees. There's no proof that he returned the money. And there's a considerable number of on-demand discrepancies.
Yeah, Tim,
I can understand
mischarging
why.
fees is a very common thing with independents. It's something we're working on.
But not returning, but there's no.
No,
proof
no,
that he
you got to give them
returned
their
the
money back. Yeah,
That's a problem.
yeah, I agree. I guess the question is $4,000 enough to get his attention? He's not here that I'm aware of, right?
I mean, I have a bigger question than that is how many years do we let a dealer keep doing this? That they never,
Get it right.
I mean, they never get it
22
Well,
years.
whatever.
Apparently 22 years.
mind-boggling to me. I mean,
He pays his fines.
no,
Whatever
no,
happened,
because that's
he
not
needs to
helping the
change.
consumer. That's who we're
Yeah, that's
supposed
a
to be helping.
It is.
I mean,
He's
this
got
is,
5 licensed salespeople. 196 sales. Is that what it said? 196 sales. 250 sales.
13.
213.
213 sales. That's my license says 196 right here. So, and 4 or 5 active salespeople, and loosey goosey running. So, I guess the question is $4,000 enough to get his attention.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I would say
No.
no.
not at all, but are we allowed to do more than that? Because it looks like the rep, the dealer board.
Yeah, that's just a recommendation from the field agent. That's all.
He's
But
gotta
he's
come through the
saying
class.
10 records at 250. That's the max it can be.
No, it can be $1,000 a
Oh,
violation.
1,000. Oh, I thought it was, I thought
Yeah,
it was the
$1,000
max.
for violation. They're cutting them some
Oh,
slack.
then
And
they
he's gotta
need
come
to-
through the class again. Gotta come through the class. So he's gonna
Well,
get
how
an
many times has
education.
he gone through this class since he's
Well,
never?
apparently not one of mine. Okay, so he's 22 years in. I'm like,
But in all honesty, I'm not gonna lie, what that gentleman said before earlier kind of scared me.
Which was?
As far as I went to the class and I get these booklets and I'm told, look at this. And don't-
I addressed
no,
it.
No, I'll get it. I mean, I'll be honest, with you, my daughter-in-law, because I've been in this business long enough, I didn't have to take the class when I came into this business. But my daughter-in-law took it just a couple of years and absolutely loved it. She got so much out of it. But I think that's a big part of it. It's what you go in to get out of it. And if you're just going into this to put up a sign and say, I'm open for business and forget what everyone else thinks or says or the laws, that's what this person has done for 20 years.
Well,
But
that's
you
what we
still
have
the
to get.
research classes too, you gotta do.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's not,
It almost makes me wonder who was doing the classes then, or who's doing the recertification.
The research are done every 2 years. They're 4 hours long. Tommy does a fantastic.
No,
job
I'm
on
saying
that.
as far as the person, because it seems like, I mean, are they just sitting there on the phone?
I'll tell you what I like. I like the fact that hearing officers are realizing these people need further education and they're hammering it with re-education.
Oh, no, I know Tommy does a great job.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that.
Well,
It angers me that this,
I get it. I
Yeah.
think what we're missing here is the dollar amount's probably not appropriate. I think there's a lot of stuff
put
going on
another
here.
zero to
and
it.
second, he's not here.
Well, you've got I mean, you've also got no state inspections on cars.
Yeah,
I mean, there's just no, this is
there's
just
no regard.
none
No,
whatsoever.
not for the business, not for the safety of, I mean, it's called a Virginia safety inspection. We are not only in a sales, but we're automotive shop. We are a safety inspection shop. And we take that so serious.
What do you
You
think,
don't
Tim?
slap sticker on.
I mean,
It's safety because the life you save may be your own.
and I guess I would defer to you on what you think on this, but I mean, to your point, I don't think there's enough here to get anyone's attention. And
What's the max amount of time?
I think we're probably a realistic number to get their attention, probably $6,000.
Is that the max amount?
No, I think we can go from there.
For-
It could be $1,000 violation. I mean, I think $6,000 is a great enough number to get their attention. I think 4 is a little
Four.
bit.
It's at 4 and he's not here. Say
I would
10,
defer to you on
sorry.
what you think on that, but my gut.
That's why I responded to you.
Yeah. I mean, and if you would like, then my gut would be is that you need to go. And let them decide, just let them decide if they want to appeal and show up and talk about it.
10.
What is that full penalty, Mr. Wiley?
Well-
It's five.
Up to $1,000 per violation.
That would be 10 grand just.
Just on the records.
Just for the dealer record.
Yeah.
That part would be 10 grand and then you'd be adding another $1,500 if you just left what was there. So that'd be 11,500. And I asked, looking at this certificate, it shows that the dealer operator's passed his expiration on the grace period.
Mhm.
So he's not even, they don't even have a valid dealer operator technically.
That's correct.
They have 120
Right.
days and an additional 60 at the leisure of the motor vehicle dealer board.
Let's pass that.
Okay, well, then hit them with the $10,000 fine. Let's get
That's
it.
what that's the number I had.
You gonna make a motion, Don?
Yeah, I'm a motion, we'll find the $10,000.
You want it 10 or 11,500? 10.
I think 10's the number.
Okay.
Tim, you okay with that?
I am, but my follow-up questions can be, but if we're allowing him to operate when he's not able to.
That's a question for William.
No, that's not correct. If they go beyond their time period in terms of a dealer operator, we will suspend them because they don't have a dealer operator. So, Lisa, what is the exact on this one?
Are we at 60 day or 120 days? Or are we beyond that?
Is this 24, 23 correct date for the grace period? Okay, so I know it's not your area. Okay. Did we do a 120-day letter on this one? Okay, so that's on us then.
So how long does he get to keep selling cars with that dealer operator, right?
We would get on it immediately.
All right, so
So you
that's
gotta-
a separate issue.
yeah.
from
That's
that.
a house cleaning deal.
Yeah.
Donald, before you actually make the motion, just to make my math. If you want the fine to come out to 10 grand, I gotta apply it to the different code violations. So I can't. So right now we have $1,500 in fines for other code violations. And then if you want to get it to 10 grand, I gotta do the math on so do you want it $8,500 for the records violations for 1529? And then
That sounds-
15, that's fine.
That sounds good.
Okay.
That wasn't hard, man.
Well, it is kind of hard math. I gotta back into that.
You just came right up with the number.
All right, so your motion is $10,000 fine, which would be $8,500 for 1529, and the rest lining up with the hearing officer's recommendation. Reinspection and a completion of the dealer operation. Correct?
Correct.
Do we have a second?
Okay.
Tim seconds the motion. Do we have any discussion? Okay, Alvin Melendez.
Virginia Independent Auto Dealers Association, I just want to put for the record that this gentleman is not recertified with the association. He mostly used on other vendors.
Thanks for pointing that out.
He didn't recertify with anybody. That's the problem.
He didn't recertify with anybody. Alan.
Yeah.
That's
All right, so is there any other discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed? All right, so that passed.
Be sure I have the motion. So you have $10,000, but you have 8,500 and 1,500 broken down into the various things.
Right,
Then we have the 2-day deal operator class and then the inspection with the dealer present.
correct.
I do have one comment to make. I'm blown away that somebody, number one, that's local here in Richmond, would not come in to address us on these egregious violations.
Well, I think we got his attention just now.
I totally understand that. Yeah, and I agree.
Look at his Google ratings. He doesn't have a great reputation either. All right, so William, tab 6.
Tab 6, Carvau LLC and Mohammad Usama / Hyder Cheema. On October the 2nd, 2024, an informal fact-finding conference was conducted to address the alleged violations of Virginia Code Sections 46.2-1533, 46.2-1529, 46.2-1542B, and 46.2-1575, number 2. Based on the information provided at the conference, the hearing officer recommended assessing a civil penalty of $1,250, a satisfactory inspection, and successful completion of the 2-day dealer operator course within 60 days.
Is there anybody here to speak to tab 6? All right, so the summary here is back in April, it was complaint about a title issue. We reached out to the dealer, never got a response. So in June, we did an inspection. The dealership was closed. A month later, we went back. The dealership was open, but the person working said they didn't have access to any of the records. This dealer was sent a $250 fine letter, decided to appeal. And upon more research, we found some other issues, and that's how we came up to $1,250. The couple of notable issues here. If you read the narrative, there's apparently multiple people that own this dealership, and there's lots of infighting, it sounds like. They're blaming each other for not being there and not having access to the records. That guy's actually an owner, although we don't have him listed as an owner on record. There's a bunch of that. One of the 2 people listed as owners, dealer operator, actually, as of right now, as far as I know, their recertification, they're in their grace period. So that has expired. At this point, assuming they don't have their letter yet, they're gonna get their letter. And then the other weird and concerning thing is this dealer has 12 dealer plates, but they're only entitled to 2. They've only got 10 retail sales for the whole year.
When does that get adjusted, William, on their license renewal?
They know about it.
So you're calling their tags right now?
We're talking about it. They're aware of it.
So yeah, we've got a fine for $1,250, $250, $250, $250, and $500, satisfactory inspection, and a 2-day dealer operating.
I mean, it says they have 10 sales.
1 sales.
And 13 tags or 12 tags. That doesn't even make sense. Sounds like
No, at one point they qualify for all the tags they have. They qualify.
when they started,
Right.
right? How long they've been in business? It shows here
23.
relatively new.
And
Oh, they expire March of 25, which is why we haven't messed with the tags yet. It's only done their renewal.
But we are going to, we've already talked about adjusting the tags. They know they don't, they know they only get 2 tags. So, but we're talking to them, we're working.
So. Discussion, motion,
Just seems like it, nobody's paying attention.
Exactly. They're not
So,
here.
I mean, I think a $1,250 fine is very low.
What I, in all honesty, what I
Mm.
find rich though is they appealed a 250 fine.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah, the 250 fine, they could have just written a check.
I gotta tell you, I tell them, if you get this fine, pay it, move on down the road, correct your problems, you know?
nothing else, come before the board and beg for mercy, but yeah.
Well, if you've got someone who's qualified for 12 tags in the past, and now they've whittled it down to where they're at now.
At 11
They're-
sales or 12 sales, yeah.
They're either only in the wholesale business or they're going out of business.
But they're
Or-
just using
or
the
they got
tags
a
not
lot
to
of
pay
tags.
property taxes
Right.
and ride around chicken sugar baby stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we've got the 2 fine adjusters talking here. What do you guys think?
Well, what's the max penalty?
Well,
No, I'll only say that, yeah, and I fall back on this whole. Like doing things in a consistent way. This is the first time that they've been before the board. And they already gambled and lost. Try to get. Get away from the 250 fine and we ended up quadrupling
and
it.
then they don't come today.
Well, maybe they thought it would be worse if they showed up. I don't know. I mean, if I went from 250 to 1250, I might want to stay home too. They're gonna have to go back, take the class, they're gonna get re-inspected. It really sounds to me like this dealership's probably breaking up and may not end up doing in the end. You got one guy that was supposedly an owner, but he's gonna try to open up another store somewhere. Anyway,
So what numbers, do we need to get to get to 2,000?
Yeah, I mean, what are the maxes? What are the max fines? Let's start there and then,
$1,000 per fine.
now is that every violation?
It's $1,000
Any
max per
violation.
violation. Yes, sir.
Okay.
So there's 4 violations. Max you could find is $4,000.
I think being that it's the first time they've come before us, I think $2,000 is probably realistic, and let them come to the dealer operator class. Let's not hit them with a shovel. Let's try to get them better. Obviously they're learning the lesson about partnerships and how well those work out, you know?
So do you want to do $500 per violation? then?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
So your motion, all right, so your motion, Chris is making a motion that
So
we find the dealer $500 per violation, 1529, 1533, 1542, and 1575, satisfactory reinspection and a 2-day dealer operator course. Alyssa has seconded that motion. Is there any discussion?
Just point of clarification, in this situation, I'm showing 2 people, Mohammad, Usama, and Hyder, Cheema. They're both owners, but Mr. Cheema is in fact the dealer operator. Because we normally deal with the owner of the class involved with, as far as being responsible. So in this particular case, who do you want to hold accountable?
To go to the class, you mean?
Dealer up?
Both?
I'm saying both.
Why
You
don't
got-
you do
If
it?
you don't have an owner's attention in that class, you
Yeah.
can tell the dealer operator whatever you want. I think both have to go. to the class.
both
All right, so Chris, just for the record.
That's
can
my
you-
motion,
Can
sir.
you amend your motion?
I
to-
just did.
Okay, so Chris has amended his motion to require both the owner and the dealer operator to attend the dealer operator. class.
2-day dealer class, yes, sir.
Is there any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? No, sorry, I don't oppose. I'm in favor, sorry.
You're contradicting yourself.
Yeah, I am contradicting myself. I was moving on to the next item, so. So William, I think that's it, correct? All right, so is there any new business from the floor? No new business. Our next meeting is scheduled for January 13th, 2025, and this committee is adjourned.
Great job, Mr. Wiley.
No, just pass it along.
You're licensing.
Licensing. Yep.
The licensing committee will come to order. Latasha, would you call the roll, please?
Jeff Ballard.
Here.
Here.
Tom Bates. Melissa John.
Here.
Edward Morback.
Here.
Timothy Boheka.
Here.
Kevin Reynolds.
Here.
Andrew Bybee.
Here.
Sounds like we have a quorum. Okay, if we have any items on the agenda, anybody that wishes to speak to those items on the agenda will be given the opportunity. Do we have any public comments on the topics? If there are no objections, we'll approve the September 2024 committee meeting summary. Is there any old business? I believe so. Any old business from the floor? Under new business, we do not have any items on the agenda today. Do we have any new business from the floor? If not, our next meeting will be January the 13th, 2025. And we are adjourned. Who's next?
Advertising.
I call the advertising committee meeting to order. Tasha, please call the roll.
Tim Boheka.
Here.
Don Sullivan.
Here.
Jeff Ballard.
Here.
Tom Bates. Chip Lindsey.
Here.
Chris Mayer.
Here.
Edward Morback.
Here.
Kevin Reynolds.
Here.
Nick Rogers.
All those who are on the agenda will be given an opportunity to speak when their agenda item comes up. If there's any public comment, they need to be topics that are on the agenda. I'd like to go ahead and move that we approve the September 2024 meeting summary if there's no objections. All the minutes approved. Old business, Mr. Childress.
Yes. This is the advertising educational update. During the last meeting, the September meeting, we presented to the board an educational, effort. That effort, to remind you, was to make dealerships, all licensed dealerships in Virginia, aware of the advertising requirements. The committee met and the board met to discuss it, and no issue, but the board agreed upon a 60-day grace period. So in other words, the plan was for us, the staff, to send out a send post notification to all the licensed dealerships, telling them what the requirements are, remind them of the requirements, and then to also publicize that in the October edition of the Dealer Talk newsletter. In each instance, we achieved those goals. The send post went out on the 22nd of 22nd of October. I mean, 22nd of September, rather. I'm sorry, 22nd of September. So therefore, the 60-day period would be the 22nd of November. So as of this Friday, starting next week, the board staff will start sending letters to people who are in violation. And in those letters, we'll go through the normal processes that we've been going through. It would be more of they've had their warning, they've had their notification. So these letters will start with civil penalties, and depending on the, the egregiousness of the offense, they could be anywhere from $250 up to $1,000 per violation. So those will start going out as of next week. But the main thing here is that we did get back, we did send the SimPost communication out. We did put it out in the latest edition of the Dealer Talk newsletter, so it is out there for people to see, and plus it's on our website as well.
I want to ask a couple questions, if you don't mind. One of the things that you listed on here, and I did not get a copy of this, so if someone can resend that to me, I would appreciate it. You list in here that the phone number that's listed with the board.
Mhm.
Given where technology has moved, where most people have tracking phone numbers or Google numbers that are listed that would not be on there. We decided to make, we thought about what we're gonna do with that, keeping up the technology.
No, we haven't. That's something that the board can decide. And we're just doing what we've done, and we didn't think about the whole second.
As long as you have the dealership phone number listed in the advertisement, we're good. You could have other phone numbers listed, that's fine. It doesn't matter, it's just that the dealership number has to be in it. So if you want to list salesperson Joe, text here, Bill, text here, you know, that's fine, but that dealership number has to be.
But and that's policy though, correct? That's not law, so that's policy.
No, I think it is,
is
there's
law.
certain factors that have to be in the ad, and I believe
Tim-
phone numbers. one.
Okay.
Can I tell you what we teach? What we teach is that if you're gonna be putting additional numbers in your advertisements to track advertising, those should be IP numbers that the companies bought. And then you would use those if you wanted to forward them to a salesperson's cell phone number, because you're not allowed to, under code, you're not allowed to use a salesperson's phone number in an advertisement. But just random numbers out of space to call, they have to be connected to the dealership somehow, if that makes sense.
No, that was just my question is that I know a lot of people use.
If you guys use IP, but like you'll get a call rail number and you'll get like a list of them, and you throw them out in the ads. How do you guys handle it?
No, what'll happen is that you'll buy a certain number of, you'll have a provider.
Right.
That has tracking numbers, and let's say you've got 15 of them. And this ad would get this tracking number, this ad would get this tracking number, or this source. I mean, and then the question is, what are we calling an ad? You know, is the Google My Business an ad, or is that not an ad?
But those 15 numbers are contractually yours, right?
Yeah, those-
So you're in compliance then. There's no issue. That's what we're looking for everybody else to do too.
The code doesn't say it has to be the number on record with the board.
It has to be a dealership owned phone number, or either by contract or by, main number.
How about it be-
Name of the dealership. That phone number has to be in the name of the dealership.
Okay, so it doesn't, it's not the not the number.
So you can
Maybe I wrote that, maybe I wrote that.
If I have 6 numbers
Yeah,
that I own as Consumers Auto Warehouse, I can use any of those numbers.
As long as it comes up.
Okay.
So that's a good question then, Ann, because if I, like Tim, if we contract and have 10 or 15 phone numbers through an IP phone system that are like just our random given numbers that we use, okay, to track stuff, are those numbers coming back as Car Credit Nation? Even though they're contractually, like if you dial that number to my phone, would it pop up? Oh, Hank Auto Group.
I might guess it would, but I'm gonna go back and check.
Maybe there's something we need to look into so we know we're teaching them the right way to do it.
And then when we're talking about putting the dealer number, is that law or is that policy?
As far as the dealer number, I don't think it has to be in there. The dealer name has to be there, or Virginia dealer, but not necessarily the dealer number itself.
Okay, so it's an either or.
No, it's not. You have to list the name of the dealership in an advertisement, right?
Yeah, or
Or VA.
identify that
That's
you're a
the
Virginia
ODA.
licensed dealer.
Right, but the number is not
No.
any part of it. Yeah,
You just have to state that you're a dealer.
correct. Yeah, name of the dealership or VADLR.
I would say I received a letter, one of our other stores received a letter where it mentioned, not processing fee, acquisition fee on leases. That having an acquisition fee on a lease in the disclosure was against code, or was against,
Yes.
it came from the dealer.
For leasing,
On a lease ad, the acquisition fee was not eligible to be, it could not be listed as an acquisition. Yeah, so just more advertising that's going into that. I think we may want to look at all of those as a, and I don't know if that's a statute item or not, but we may want to look at those going forward.
so that was acquisition.
Tim,
I mean, the Truth in Leasing Act requires you to do that disclosure. That's not a fee a dealer's adding on. That's a term of art. So that should not have been a violation.
The letter that one of our stores got said that it was a violation because it was another fee.
No, it's not. I mean, that the dealer board needs to clarify that because
Yeah.
that Truth in Leasing, that's a term under a lease. That is not a dealer fee the dealer is charging. So let's make sure and get that corrected.
Remember which location?
I would love to tell you which I would love to tell you that. Usually if they're, if I had to guess, I would guess Acura. But I could be wrong.
What is the send post?
Simpulse, it's just a newsletter of, what was it called before? It's an email, but what do we use before? You might be more familiar. What was the previous one and we used for Simpulse?
Constant contact.
Yeah, like constant contact.
Oh. So that's just the company that
Yeah,
sends it out.
exactly. Company we contracted with. It's just a email, just a brief heads up, pretty focused information document. It's usually just one thing that we're focusing on at that particular time. Something to get out to the community quickly. Now you will get this based off the email address that's been provided to us, or for those who signed up with us.
Use like a mass email.
We are,
And
and
it's spam.
it could be in spam. Yeah. Every dealership having does have by code will receive one. What you may want to do, or what we can do for you, is to sign up your personal. Receive that a lot of times.
The email you sent it to is my first one.
The eventals that you've received. We'll check.
Went out on the 22nd of October.
Thank you.
October,
September.
Please.
Yeah.
And also, he said he didn't see it either.
You want to bring up one of the business? You'd mentioned, I was not at the September meeting, so obviously, it was in the minutes as that's what the discussion was had. I do want to make note to you is that the advertising that I got from Tesla was not a clickable ad where they could go between different items. It was a static ad. So I think what you were given in that was a little bit disingenuous.
I wasn't speaking to that one.
Oh, okay, well, I'm just on
I
the
was
Tesla.
speaking I was speaking to the one a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was speaking to the latest one. This month.
Yeah, I'm just gonna, my feeling is that we need to dive into this bigger because it is very disingenuous. I don't know what our process is on this, but we just got finished talking about how we're gonna, we've sent out all this information. We go back and talk about our advertising rules to everyone. It's not really fair to say, hey, we're gonna go back to everyone else and say, you gotta do this, and then we're gonna let somebody else have the pass again. So I would like you to bring that back up.
The process is supposed to be that the chairs pull a group together to look at the whole picture.
Okay.
That's the process agreed upon last meeting. And with that said, you were not here. That's correct. Mr. Bates made it clear that he wanted to be part of the group as well. So it came up to be that he would pull the group together to look at all of the advertising piece.
Okay.
Particularly for size.
Thank you very much. Any other old business from the floor? Any new business from the floor?
Well,
Oh,
I can't really talk about old business because it's my first meeting, but all that triggered me to look at the, the requirements and look at the code for the advertising. So I looked at a bunch of car dealerships, and it seems like the thing I think is important to protect the consumer is the processing fee on, there's the sale prices processing there. What I noticed with cars is, and when you have a window sticker of a car, the destination charge is in there and the prep is in there. That's not the case for like a motorcycle. So I have MSRP listed on my website. I'm not compliant, so I have what MSRP listed. My processing fee you cannot find on my website. And then the freight is separate, and the freight is separate depending on the unit. I have multiple freight charges. It seems to me, because I looked at all the other power sports dealers and I can't, so it's not a deceptive practice. It's not been enforced on power sports dealers. And my worry is the power sports purchase is a more of an emotional purchase, less than a car. So I think it's more important. So I would say looking at if part of this advertising look is, are dealers processing fees on their website, their processing fee? And is the number, the sale number, does that include the freight to get it there? Or the prep, you know what I mean? I know everything else is gonna be tax tag type included, so I don't know where we want to go with this, but I know it's very vague. On the power sports side, and I've seen a lot of power sports dealers take advantage of consumers with the fact that it's not. I think it's a good point to start.
There should be a disclosure on the website.
There should be a disclosure at the
I have
bottom of
it.
that ad. So if you look at the price of your vehicle, it's a side by side for $99.95. It should have smaller print right on that same window without having to go like 50 pages down and just say, does not include a dealer's $4.99 processing fee plus $380 in freight charges, because new car and new side by side dealers or motorcycle dealers like yourself can charge a freight charge. Independents cannot charge a freight charge. So you can't charge that on a used side by side. You can charge on a
But
new.
then there's also the reconditioning.
Which is
Illegal.
illegal.
If you have that anywhere at all, don't just take that right
No,
out.
I've never done that, but I know
Other,
dealers that sell used motorcycles. And then the price is thrown out there, and then when they're in the room making the deal, the deal is the reconditioning fee is, it could be a couple of grand.
I see those from time to time. It's completely illegal. And if we see it as a board, we're going to find them for it.
Unfortunately, that's not something that gets. That's not something that doesn't get reported.
It gets seen by the field rep when they're auditing the files and they're going through the files.
I know like the car dealers, their processing fee tends to be on the list, that inventory page. The processing fee will be down at the bottom. It's small, no big deal,
Of
whatever.
course, yeah.
But I guess new motor vehicle dealers get paid by the manufacturer of the prep windows, not a separate prep fee.
Yeah, you cannot do a prep fee. It's all processing fee and a freight charge.
So I'll give you an example. I'm not gonna name the brand, but a motorcycle. The prices and clearly displayed. They go to do the deal. The freight that's charged by the manufacturer is never disclosed, and that freight's $850. But the freight that the dealer charging is double that. And then the
They
prep,
can't do that.
the prep for the vehicle is $1,500. And then once again, we're not getting police on it, like I told you. I mean, you can look at every power sports dealer. I can't find their processing fee on the website, and it's not on it. It will be, and I don't mind putting it because I don't know who has a cheaper processing fee, so it doesn't hurt me.
What I love about this board is we get quality dealers like yourself who get involved and you understand where there's a problem and you help us fix the problem. So start that, get it out there. I'm sure the dealer board will be listening to you. Well, they'll educate their field reps. Lisa McNelson has a great group of field reps out there that'll basically march her order so she can let them know what we need to do and we'll get that done.
I love the idea of sending another pulse out. I think really bringing attention to that would make sense. Wouldn't you agree? I think updating the requirements. I think it's a very good point.
What I've found with the field reps is this, we got 12 of them out there, if I'm correct, right? They're like their own sheriff in their own town. And this is the truth. They literally interpret the law the best they can. They educate and train the dealers the best they can. Some of them are hardcore drill sergeants and some of them are kind of laid back as long as you're not causing any trouble. We don't have any complaints kind of stuff, but they're all different. We can't get them all to march exactly the same, but we can get them to march close to the same. So I like the information you're bringing forward here, and I think it'll help us to educate our field reps even better.
And part of like a law requirement, there's requirements or FTC requirements behind window stickers, fires, not right.
Yep.
What about power sports?
We have a dealer talk magazine that goes out monthly to all our dealers. Every dealer in the state of Virginia gets it. Now, whether they choose to read it or not, that would be a great article for the dealer talk to say, hey, if you're a power sports dealer, here's this. Reconditioning is not allowed, freight is allowed, if it's a manufacturer's
It has
freight.
to be disclosed.
Yeah, we can, you might help them with that, clarify some of those issues. And who writes that article, Ann? Right behind you there. The lady in the hot seat today. And if you communicate with her, I'm sure it'll help her to write that article and get accurate information out to these dealers. The idea is we don't want to go out there and hammer them. We want to educate them so they start to do it right. It creates a level playing field for guys like you. And even in my world, in the used car world, we want a level playing field for everybody.
You can't believe the position consumer.
Yes, I would, because I've seen it. Yeah. Great information. Thank you for sharing.
All right, thank you very much. Any other new business from the floor? All right, our next meeting will be January 13th.
I'd like to call the Transaction Recovery Fund Committee to order. Latasha, would you call the roll, please?
Mayor.
Here.
Nate. Allen.
Here.
Barton.
Here.
Mr. Dunn.
Here.
Chip Lindsey.
Here.
Edward Wallback.
Here.
Nick Rush. Donald Sullivan.
Here.
Andrew Wiley.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. Public comments will be limited to items on the list, and there is none, so we won't have any public comments there. I'd like to move that we approve the September 9th meeting summary. If there's no objections, we'll call that approved. Is there any old business from the floor? Any old business? Any new business? No cases against the Transaction Recovery Fund. Our next scheduled meeting is January 13th, 2025. And that adjourns our meeting. I guess I'm going to be there.
Oh, no, we're gonna find out.
Okay, so we're going to break for 20 minutes. At a quarter till we'll reconvene and we'll hold the full board meeting right here. So if you need to use any facilities, you'll have.
little over 10:45. So I'm gonna call the full board of the Motor Vehicle Dealer Board together today. Welcome, I'm Commissioner Lackey of the Department of Motor Vehicles and the Chair of the Motor Vehicle Dealer Board. Want to welcome everybody today. In particular, Edward Malbec, right?
Yeah.
You are our newest board member representing our motorcycle franchisees, is that correct?
Power sports, yes.
Power Sports, that's awesome. You guys sell Ducatis?
No.
That's what I drive, so.
I'll call you when we get a used one.
Yeah, well, where's your store located or
Newport
stores?
News.
Newport News, okay.
Yeah,
I will-
Jefferson Ave. It's next to Casey Chevrolet.
Okay, I know where that is. Our secretary lives down in that area, so I get down there occasionally. So thank you very much for agreeing to serve on the board with us. Appreciate it. All right, before we move into the business of the day, I want to ask Latasha to read the roll, please.
Jeff Ballard,
Oh, there you are. I was like, where is she? Over there? There you go.
Mark Stafford, Tom Martin.
Here.
Tom Bates. Melissa Giant,
Here.
Dennis Elmer. Chip Lindsey,
Here.
Chris Mayer,
Here.
Edward Malbec,
Here.
Trevor Rene,
Here.
Nick Rush, Don Sullivan,
Here.
Andrew Wiley,
Here.
Gerald Lapp.
Here. We have quorum? Yes.
Yeah.
We have
I
quorum.
think
Yeah,
that's
we have quorum. All right, so as anyone like to put a motion forward for the approval of the September 9th, 2024 meeting summary?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, seeing Andrew Wiley second, Chris Mayer made the motion, we will approve the September 9th meeting summaries. I'm gonna move next into the public comment period. Is there anybody that would like to bring any topics up from the public who's visiting us? Seeing none, we'll move next to the statutory committee reports. First up is the Dealer Practices Committee. I'd like to ask Vice Chair Andrew Wiley to present the committee report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This morning, the Dealer Practice Committee met. Meeting was called to order. We had a quorum. We approved the September 2024 meeting summary. There was no old business. There was no old business from the floor. Just want to make sure recorder's working before we get to new business. We got it? Okay. So under new business, we had several cases that we heard. Tab 1. William, can you go over that one?
Yes, Latest Motors Incorporated and Tanseet, Shabbir. Whereas the board has reviewed and considered the facts and evidence and the report of an informal fact-finding conference as prepared by the hearing officer concerning Latest Motors and Tanseet, Shabbir for alleged violations of Virginia Code Sections 46.2-1516, 46.2-1529, 46.2-1529-1, and 46.2-1537. And whereas based on due consideration, the board believes that the following actions should be taken against Latest Motors and Tanseet Shabbir. 1, assess a civil penalty of $1,000. 2, Latest Motors shall be inspected by a Motor Vehicle Dealer Board field representative, and that inspection shall be satisfactory. And 3, Tanseet Shabbir shall successfully complete the 2-day dealer operator course. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the board mandates that Tanseet Shabbir hereby be assessed a civil penalty of $1,000, and the Latest Motors dealership shall satisfactorily pass an inspection conducted by a Motor Vehicle Dealer Board field representative on or before February 18th, 2025. And Tanseet Shabbir shall successfully complete the 2-day dealer operator course on or before May 18th, 2025. Therefore, be it further resolved by the board that failure to comply with the board's mandates by the required dates will result in the suspension of all licenses and certificates issued by the board until such time the Latest Motors dealership and Tanseet Shabbir successfully complies with the board's mandates.
Thank you, William. Is Mr. Shabbir here today? Mr. Shabbir, there's no need for you to stand up, but would you like to say anything in addition to what you said this morning?
No, probably. Man, I really appreciate and thank you for you guys, you gave me out.
Okay.
And as a new dealer, you know, learning, I'm on a learning curve. I'm a trading dealer.
And I would love to improvise, improve my mistakes. And thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for coming, sir. Appreciate it. Is there any discussion to be had? All right, seeing no discussion, can I get a second for the motion read out by William Childress? All right, we'll give it to Tim Pohanka. So motion carried, class attendance and a $1,000 fine. All right. Oh, we got to vote. We got to vote. That's right. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Motion carries. Thank you very much, Andrew. All right, tab 2.
Excuse me.
Need another cup this morning.
All Stars Automotive and Rene, Carey. Whereas the board has reviewed and considered the facts and evidence in the report of an informal fact-finding conference as prepared by the hearing officer concerning All Stars Automotive and Rene, Carey for alleged violations of Virginia Code sections 46.2-1533 and 46.2-1575-2. And whereas based on due consideration, the board believes that the following actions should be taken against All Stars Automotive and Rene, Carey. 1, assess a civil penalty of $750. 2, All Stars Automotive shall be inspected by Motor Vehicle Dealer Board field representative, and that inspection shall be satisfactory. And 3, Rene, Carey shall successfully complete the 2-day dealer operator course. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the board mandates that Rene, Carey be assessed a civil penalty of $750, and the All Stars Automotive dealership shall satisfactorily pass an inspection conducted by Motor Vehicle Dealer Board field representative on or before February 1st, 2025. And Rene, Carey shall successfully complete the dealer operator course on or before May 18th, 2025. Therefore, be it further resolved by the board that failure to comply with the board's mandates by the required dates will result in the suspension of all licenses and certificates issued by the board until such time the All Stars Automotive dealership and Rene, Carey successfully complies with the board's mandates.
Thank you, Mr. Childress. Is there anybody here to speak on behalf of All Stars Automotive? Seeing nobody, is there any discussion to be had before we make a second for the motion? Seeing none, is there a second? Melissa Dunn seconds the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, seeing none, motion passes. $750 penalty, an additional inspection and completion of the 2-day dealer course. All right. Tab 3.
Okay, tab 3, Street Action Discount Auto Sales and Donald J. Neal. Whereas the board has reviewed and considered the facts and evidence of the report of an informal fact-finding conference as prepared by the hearing officer concerning Street Action Discount Auto Sales and Donald Neal for alleged violations of Virginia Code sections 46.2-1533 and 46.2-1575, number 2. And whereas based on due consideration, the board believes that the following actions should be taken against Street Action Discount Auto Sales and Donald Neal. 1, issued a written warning for Virginia Code section 46.2-1533, and 2, Street Action Discount Auto Sales shall be inspected by a Motor Vehicle Dealer Board field representative, and that inspection shall be satisfactory. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the board mandates that Donald Neal hereby be issued a written warning regarding Code section 46.2-1533, and the Street Action Discount Auto Sales dealership shall satisfactorily pass an inspection conducted by a Motor Vehicle Dealer Board field representative on or before February 18th, 2025. Therefore, be it further resolved by the board that failure to comply with the board's mandates by the required dates will result in the suspension of all licenses and certificates issued by the board until such time the Street Action Discount Auto Sales dealership and Donald Neal successfully complies with the board's mandates.
Thank you, Mr. Childress. Is there anyone here to speak today on behalf of Street Action Discount Auto Sales? Sir, if you don't mind stepping up to the front then.
I have too much to say, but I just want to thank all of you for your consideration. I certainly appreciate it. And certainly, I'm so glad that I came here because it's the first time out of 30 years being here and knowing the seriousness of this meeting. I thank you so much, and I thank my son got a whole lot as well. I appreciate you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Is there any discussion to be had? Is there a second? Recognize Chris Mayer seconding the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Okay, seeing none opposed, it passes. There will be a written warning and a request for an additional satisfactory inspection by February 18th. I'm sorry? And they
get a pass.
oh, tab 4, and then we're gonna defer it till January when we meet again. Yes, sir. Thank you. Tab 5 then.
Carzone Incorporated and Maroun, Chaoul. Whereas the board has reviewed and considered the facts and evidence and the report of an informal fact-finding conference as prepared by the hearing officer concerning Carzone and Maroun, Chaoul for alleged violations of Virginia Code sections 46.2-1529, 46.2-1542C, 46.2-1552, number 2, and 46.2-1575, number 2. And whereas based on due consideration, the board believes that the following actions should be taken against Carzone and Maroun, Chaoul. 1, assess a civil penalty of $10,000. 2, with Maroun, Chaoul present, Carzone shall be inspected by a motor vehicle dealer board field representative, and that inspection shall be satisfactory. And 3, Maroun, Chaoul shall successfully complete the 2-day dealer operator course. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the board mandates that Maroun, Chaoul hereby be assessed a civil penalty of $10,000, and the Carzone dealership with Maroun, Chaoul present shall satisfactorily pass an inspection conducted by a motor vehicle dealer board field representative on or before February 18th, 2025, and Maroun, Chaoul shall successfully complete the dealer operator course by May 18th, 2025. Therefore, be it further resolved by the board that failure to comply with the board's mandates by the required dates will result in the suspension of all licenses and certificates issued by the board until such time the Carzone dealership and Maroun, Chaoul successfully complies with the board's mandates.
Thank you, Mr. Childress. Is there anyone here to speak on behalf of Carzone? Seeing none, is there any discussion to be had? Seeing none, is there a second to the motion? Melissa Dunn seconds the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Nay. All right, seeing none, it passes. There will be a dealer class, you increased it to $10,000 civil penalty and an extra inspection by February 18th. All right, tab 6.
Tab 6. Carvau LLC and Mohammad, Usama, and Hyder, Cheema. Whereas the board has reviewed and considered the facts and evidence and the report of an informal fact-finding conference as prepared by the hearing officer concerning Carvau LLC and Mohammad, Usama, and Hyder, Cheema for alleged violations of Virginia Code sections 46.2-1529, 46.2-1533, 46.2-1542B, and 46.2-1575, number 2. Whereas based on due consideration, the board believes that the following action should be taken against Carvau and Hyder, Cheema and Mohammad, Usama. 1, assess a civil penalty of $2,000. 2, Carvau shall be inspected by a motor vehicle dealer board field representative, and that inspection shall be satisfactory. And 3, Mohammad, Usama, and Hyder, Cheema shall successfully complete the 2-day dealer operator course within 60 days. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the board mandates that Mohammad, Usama, and Hyder, Cheema be assessed a civil penalty of $2,000, and the Carvau dealership shall satisfactorily pass an inspection conducted by a motor vehicle dealer board field representative on or before May 18th, 2025. And Mohammad, Usama, and Hyder, Cheema shall successfully complete the 2-day dealer operator course on or before January 18th, 2025. Now, therefore, be it further resolved by the board that failure to comply with the board's mandates by the required dates will result in the suspension of all licenses and certificates issued by the board until such time the Carvau dealership, Mohammad, Usama, and Hyder Cheema successfully complies with the board's mandates.
Thank you, Mr. Childress. Is there anyone to speak on behalf of Carvau today? Seeing none, is there any discussion to be had?
I just have one question.
Yes.
We have the date of January something for them having the 2-day class. Do we have those classes available within that 2 months? Okay.
Yeah. You can come with me on the 17th of December.
That's right.
Just block the time.
I saw
Yes,
where
sir.
there was a stop on Cheema's license. What was that for?
Is that the deal operator
Under
stop?
under the sales license,
Yeah.
it said stop on it.
We'll check that. Is that for the deal operator stop? Yeah,
His recertification is expired, so he has to get recertified first.
so yeah, there's a stop on his record right now.
Gotcha.
Any further discussion? All right, is there a second? Recognize Nick. Kevin. No, Kevin Reynolds. Sorry, Kevin Reynolds. Kevin Reynolds. Yeah, I was gonna say there's an empty seat for Nick. Kevin Reynolds is the second. Pasha. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Okay, resolution passes. Carvau will be assessed a civil penalty of $2,000, required to complete a satisfactory inspection by February 18th, and both Mohammad, Usama, and Hyder Cheema will take the dealer course within the next 60 days. All right. Does that conclude the committee's report?
Almost.
Vice
So those were all the cases. There was no new business from the floor. I guess just as a general comment, I'd make that it feels very much like the committee has decided that repeated offenses from dealers, especially given that we have this 2-day dealer operator class and we have 2-year recertification, that we're just going to take a harder stance on repeated violations. And so people teaching the class and the association would probably be wise to make sure dealers are aware that if they get brought repeatedly before the board, that we're really going to step up the enforcement of this stuff. So that's it. And the next meeting was scheduled for January 13th, 2020.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Appreciate that. All right, licensing committee, Vice Chair Ballard.
All right, the licensing committee met this morning. We did have a quorum. There were no public comments at that time. We did approve the September 2024 committee meeting summary. There was no old business from the floor. There were no items under the new business. No new business from the floor. Our next meeting will be January 13th, 2025.
Thank you, sir. Who need to formally vote to pass the committee report? All right. Thank you very much, Vice Chair. Advertising committee, Chair Pohanka.
Thank you very much. We did meet, we had a quorum. We opened up for new business and there was a discussion of power sports dealers and holding them more accountable to the rules and regulations that are set forth. And so the discussion was set forth on that. We did follow up a little bit on Tesla. And we did just speak about resending out the advertising.
And in addition, Mr. Chairman, you went at the last meeting, but on the last meeting, one of the things that the committee asked for was for you to convene a committee to look at the advertising shoots in general across the board. We'll get together. And in that meeting, a couple of people did volunteer to be as a committee. As soon as you do that.
We'll be glad to do that. I know that you and I had some offline discussion about the need to just look at those laws that have been in place for decades, long before social media and everything, to make sure that we've got an updated perspective on that.
I think like the result of that too is probably the DMV inspectors are not inspecting power sports dealers, and that should be.
Okay, now I'm gonna have to educate you. Now DMV doesn't inspect.
Whoever he's inspecting, whoever does the inspection.
Yeah, dealer.
Motor vehicle.
Well, you do, but it's a different kind of inspection.
Yes.
They're
If
looking at us, we need to
they
look
look at you as a criminal
It's a
inspection.
criminal inspection, yeah.
It's his
That
first
probably
meeting.
got
He's
us to
home
that
DMV
point
for-
of the
Oh, yeah.
discussion.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah, no doubt.
It's okay. On all the way stations, they call us VDOT. So we're all friends.
Yeah, we're all friends.
Noted, and we'll look into that, but I can't speak to it. Does the MVDB?
Yeah, we looked at.
That's what I figured out.
And one of the things that the chair has asked that we do is focus on them and from an educational perspective.
Yeah, so kind of along that lines, so I'm a franchise dealer, so I don't have to do the research.
No, not class.
So I have my license on, I have to do the research. The thought process behind it.
That's
a great question.
For franchise dealers?
Yeah, and so a franchise power sport dealer, more mom and pop, which is kind of what my feel is that independent dealers kind of has, the thought is to bring them in to keep them educated. I kind of think that even as a franchise dealer, I could fit that kind of, but then you look at some of the franchise power sports dealers that are really small, they're real small. I don't know.
It's a great point.
All I would say, sir, is that.
I'm coming on the 17th of December.
Oh.
Okay. Can you find a spot?
Yeah, you got a spot right next to the commission.
You need to break them two up. They don't need to next to each other.
Can we talk about this for just a minute?
Well, I'm about to say something before you start talking. I think it's gonna teach you what you got to say.
Okay.
Oh,
Good, so.
I think the idea behind the franchises not having to do the recertification class or 2-day class is the fact that car truck franchise deals go through a lot of training. And I think we just carry that over for all franchise dealers. But with that said, this board has the authority and power to do what they think is necessary or needed. So if the board decides at some point in the future that franchise power sports dealers need to have this training, then the board can do so. But I think we just carried it over across all franchise to have the same requirement.
What committee would that?
Licensing. The other good thing too is I mean, with the experience here and the franchise I have is the biggest power sports dealer on the planet. So so you guys have an assumption that there's the levels behind it. Well, I do the training. I can tell you.
Right, no. So that's a great point. We just never thought about it.
So do we need to make a motion? To do what? He's saying he's the largest power sports planet down the dealer.
No,
planet.
Yeah, so the Indian Motorcycle LLC is owned by Polaris Industry, which is the largest power sports manufacturer.
So are you
There's something
getting
that-
Virginia educational stuff from them or no?
No, but I'm getting educational stuff from them, but they're not gonna give me Virginia stuff.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Because every state's different, and that's gonna be their disclaimer. They're never gonna talk specifically to, I have to operate in accordance with Virginia state law.
I got a question for William. William, I serve trailer, I believe motorcycle. Do motorcycle dealers come through the dealer operator class? New franchise motorcycle dealer?
No franchise. That's what I mean. No franchise is required to, because I guess when they did this years ago, the assumption was the level of training. They were already being trained to a level where they understood what they were dealing with.
And his testimony is that these Polaris dealership training people give you like product training, but they don't give you state training. So I would make a motion that the motorcycle franchise, trailer franchise, and all those folks, and even if they're new franchises, not the new car dealers, but the motorcycle and truck, those folks should come to the dealer operator class, be trained and have to be certified.
I would.
Are we sure that's it?
I think we need to make sure
Yeah.
code regulation.
Yeah, 100%.
Right.
I'm not sure where this came, I mean,
My guy over here who's.
Anthony needs to study it a little bit.
I'll get
Not where
smart.
it is,
I'll
but
go to the
not
course in
to-
December.
I'm not asking where it came from.
Yeah.
Suggestion. I'm saying, I'm not sure where the
Authority.
policy or the
Yeah.
rule came about historically.
Right.
Before the board.
That's right.
It could have-
Yeah.
it was
So I'll
my
pull
time,
that
it was
back.
10 years, so.
A committee.
How are you gonna make an exception
And you
between?
may want to also.
Any franchise.
It-
How
it's
are you
real
gonna make that?
Can I make?
Motorcycling,
Yes.
trailer and RV versus, yeah.
I think there are a lot of good points here.
So-
I think it would be, have merit for us to table this today, research the legalities of it. I know Ann's talking about that there are some code issues relative to Virginia state, the Virginia code, that we may be just innocently looking at breaching here. I think we should look at the code ramifications of what we're talking about and then reconvene maybe in January to discuss further.
And I think I agree with that. And I think it's worth us sitting through Mr. Malbeck and I, the course, and getting a little bit more specific on what training specifically might be absent from what they're providing. It's a bigger issue to look at. So is there, if you're putting, are you going to put that forward as a specific motion to table? Is there a second to that? Second from Mr. Pohanka. All those in favor say aye. Aye. The opposed, nay. All right, resolution passes. We'll lay this on the table until January. Mr. Malbeck and I will take the course. Christian will look at the legalities of it and we'll kind of come back and discuss it.
Okay, for the minutes, we have a sit-in person, Natasha. What are we doing? What's it? I know we got a motion passed, but what exactly are we just tabling the conversation?
We're just tabling the conversation until January, just to first figure out the legalities of it. We'll let Christian from the AG's office look at that for us, and we'll meet with I'll meet with the VADA and VIADA offline to kind of get their thoughts. I think we take the course, Mr. Malbeck and I. That's the third item.
And then get on that, if there's a 2-year research, like a.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just an update of information in this thing. Yeah.
17th and 18th of December.
Yes, sir. Right here in Midlothian.
Because my question would be, this may also apply to trailers and other things. It might be that the only one that shouldn't be is car truck. So that's why I was thinking.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going with that. Just so I can comment on it. There's not one person that comes to that class that thinks, man, that was the biggest waste of my time. They're all like, man, I've been doing this for 20 years. This is the best information ever. And I say that to be a benefit to those folks like this gentleman here, where it gives them better information to be compliant with their dealership and compliance standard.
Chris, can I speak to that?
Yes, sir.
Also, I agree with you. There's benefit. I think we also need to weigh as a board benefit versus need. And while it may have great value and benefit, the need for that sort of governmental or board oversight relative to dealer operations may not be there. In other words, and the fact that in 2 meetings, and I understand that, my experience is limited, the number of franchise dealers that we've had issues with, I believe is 0 for the last 2. Right? But I'm sure that there are some out there.
There are.
My point is, the great majority of what we're dealing with is on the independent side.
And I can answer that statement. There's a lot more of us than there is new car dealers.
Sure.
And so there's a lot more opportunity to have those folks in the limelight. But we do have new car dealers that fail greatly. And when they fail, it really is painful.
There's no definition.
One only other issue that did come up in the side discussion, did you want to talk about window stickers on?
Yeah, so part of the advertising and stuff, which is, we had the discussion. There's a Federal Trade Commission requirement for buyer's orders, and then the window sticker thing, and there's no requirement on a power sports item. So we don't have a window to put it on in most cases, but a lot of operators are operating without specifically hiding the price. And then you have a more emotional purchase than a car to a certain extent. I mean, a motorcycle, no one needs a motorcycle.
And not only that's up for discussion.
No, but yeah.
There must be ways around that too. I think RVs, they do put those kinds of stickers on RVs, but I don't think they're on the window. Are they? They're inside on
the OEMs are, I mean, we have if it's in my inventory, and I can pull a MSRP hand tag out of their system. We just build it in.
Well, the difference we're talking about here is a window sticker, an informational sticker versus a buyer's guide, Federal Trade Commission / Virginia requirement. RVs do, or like motorized, required to have.
I don't know if the start is on new because, is used too hard. I don't know. But I do, I have a really experienced guy.
New doesn't require a buyer's guide, and used does. So new vehicle require that.
But they require a window sticker.
They do require a window.
I don't know if the answer is at least we start with the MSRP hand tag for the new vehicle.
And we work on that.
You brought a lot of good information, David. Thank you.
Lots to go over with you.
All right, no, sounds exciting. Anything else? All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. Transaction Recovery Fund, Chair Mayor.
Mr. Commissioner, we met this morning. Latasha called the roll. We had a quorum. We had no public comment. We approved the September 9th meeting summary. We had no old business at all. We had no new business. Our next meeting is January 13th, 2025.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. Now we're moving into some old business. I'll turn this over to Executive Director Childress. Dealer portal update.
All right, the dealer portal update. I don't have anything from the last two meetings to report to you, but I do need to make the board aware of the dealer portal situation and what you'll be facing in the future. When we started this process back in 2020, during COVID, we started this right before COVID, we started the process. And we signed a contract with a vendor in 2022, I believe, to have this portal up and running. The biggest problem that we've run into over the past year has been working with DMV to make sure that the data transfer interfaces between our system and DMV system are able to communicate and transport or transmit the information properly, which is something that they're continuously working on. But my reason for putting this on the agenda is here. The vendor System Automation is now about to sunset the product that we signed a contract on a couple of years ago. It will be in place until 2027, 2028 before their new system, rather before they stop supporting it. So if we're up and running and we're the only ones using it, they will support it. But at some point, we need to migrate to their newer system if in fact we stay with them. Since we're at a stage now where the system is not complete, there's an opportunity for the board to, I guess, consider in the future moving to their new system right now, which is called eVote. And what that would do is that will eliminate the staff and the dealer community from having to learn a system, use a system, and then a new system comes in play within a year or two and start that process over again. We have been talking to the vendor about this. I told the vendor I'll bring it to the board's attention, so you'll be aware of it. In the future meetings, there'll be something you'll discuss. Tyler Huffman, who is on the staff now, has been with me and has been leading the conversations with the vendor to learn more about this system. But I think it's something that we need to look at. So my biggest concern is the fact that if we do get this thing finished in the next year, we're up and running. By the time the training takes place and people start using it, then their support for the system will be diminishing within a year or two from the time we're up and running. Right now, this new system they're starting to deploy, we could be on the ground of this and it's probably better in terms of just training and implementation. Now, there will be a cost involved with that. What that cost is, I do not know, but I will tell the board members this. When we increased the price to purchase this system in 2021, we put away money monthly for the maintenance of the system that we thought would be deployed by now. So while there is a cost to it, we have a lot of money sitting in our bank account right now from not having to pay maintenance fees that we had agreed to pay once the system was deployed. So yes, there's a cost to it. What it is, I do not know, but I think the money that we have tucked away is more than enough to take care of the cost of the system should the board decide to move forward with that.
So you have a general idea, would you?
I can only say, I really don't have a general idea because the system that we purchased is only $300,000. Okay. The maintenance of the system that we agreed to purchase is $144,000 a year. And that includes storage, updates, a lot of other things that we just want the staff to provide. We've got now 3 years of money saved up from the payment of the system and from the maintenance of the system. So I don't know if it's going to be 500,000. I don't know if it's going to be 750 or maybe I have no idea. That's something they're working on right now. Yes, sir.
So we paid a vendor $300,000.
No, we're not paying for that.
I said the cost of the system.
That's what it costs. We're not done. we haven't paid for it yet. We haven't done it. Not done
So
it.
we haven't paid a dime for this.
Yeah, we have. We pay as you go,
How much have we paid so far?
about $250,000.
Okay, nickel, all right, so we paid $250,000 for a product we're never gonna get.
Well, we can get it.
What does it, I mean, what is the overall goal for this project?
The goal for the project is to have the system deployed so that this is an automated licensing system that will help the staff and also help the dealership community. So your renewals and your applications for licenses for salespeople, things like that will come in through the system, be used by the system, effectively eliminating the US mail system for the most part. One of our biggest problems is that applications put in the mail, we get them anywhere from 7 to 21 days later. And of course, you as a dealership, you're looking for it sooner and quicker. This system will give you the ability to do it same day, as far as submission and receipt by us. And if things are going the way we think they can go, you can have your response back there in a day or two. So that's why we were going to the system in the first place. Now, the problem we've had is that in the process, in the requirements gathering, all these things, we needed more participation and input from DMV, which we failed to get in this process. When we got to the point of trying to, I guess, do some testing, that's where it became evident that we needed a lot more than we anticipated in terms of the interaction with that.
Mr. Commissioner, can you, I'm concerned, confused on why we have problems with the DMV. In terms of behaviors.
I think that the issues that we're attempting to discuss, and I'm not sure this is the best forum because it's a long running and detailed discussion. The project has struggled to achieve its goals. What I can say is that it's the first time I'm hearing that the system y'all are moving to is going to be sunset. That adds a whole nother wrinkle. So the 250 you all just paid, and if you get up on this new system, it's not going to last for more than 2 years. Well, 2027, yeah, 2 years. So now the vendor's going to have to charge you additional money to get on their new system. Yeah, there's probably a lot more discussion and discovery to do there before I comment on that. To be in all fairness, because it's not a simple issue, and yeah.
My concern is just spending more money on something that we're not going to. That's not going to be operational. The contracts that I've seen in the past is you'll get paid this, but it has to be operational by this. If it's not, then it keeps going down.
Correct.
I don't necessarily know if I feel comfortable authorizing payment.
I would not recommend that at the moment. I think I'm not sure that the director was necessarily saying that either. I think, we need to, I think what I heard and I agree with is that we need to investigate the issues with the vendor and decide what path we want to take moving forward.
Yeah, my purpose is bring to the board's attention that is out there. That's something you need to look at and consider.
Understood.
But they're talking about an update for 2027 or 2028, but we haven't gotten the original.
That's right.
Yeah.
Which I have questions for the vendor on that one, to be honest with
Yeah.
you as well.
Are we
How do you
tied
sell
to
something
the
that's got
vendor
a,
this, or
it's
is this the vendor that, are there other, can you compete this thing?
Yeah.
Oh, you're not tied to the vendor that we selected. Try to you're going to do something different.
But you're going to have $250,000 of some cost. So, it's also interesting. I don't know if their new version is just an iteration of this version. Like sometimes you release new updates and you don't rewrite all the code. You just need to enhance certain things. Or is this you've written $250,000 worth of stuff in one code language with one set of things, and you're going to have to switch over to a whole different one. That's a whole.
So
do you know the?
that should be on them. They haven't produced it.
We had a meeting with the vendor last week where they addressed that the new platform is an iteration off of the old one, effectively addressing a lot of pain points that their consumers had been experiencing just with its modifications. So I have yet to see a demo. That is hopefully will happen before the next board meeting, and then I can come with a more informed opinion on their new platform. Because as Mr. Malbec, is that correct? We're not tied to a specific vendor. So if the vendor doesn't satisfy or doesn't bring something that I am confident in, I will make that recommendation at that time.
If or once you sign up for the event, updates are just part of it.
Right.
So if they're moving to another platform,
They move
thank you
with-
very much. We appreciate the moving to whatever it needs to make the product better.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Well, their product's going obsolete, so it won't function.
And that is something that if we decide to move forward with that vendor, that is a discussion that will happen at a later date in terms of what the sunk cost, what we can transfer, what we can't. So, yeah, it's all very still up in the air, but we're working towards finding an appropriate solution.
All right, I appreciate that. So it sounds like we need to get some more information. I'll commit to getting that for our January meeting.
Commissioner, can I comment? real quick?
Please.
So I've been here through this whole thing. This is an absolutely needed process for us dealers. So right now, dealers are mailing their stuff in, stuff's wrong, sits around on a desk. I'm not picking on the dealer, but they got a lot, their hands point 16 different directions. And then all of a sudden they get mailed back. We're talking about weeks and weeks for a new dealer trying to get into business. If this was a digital format where you could scan the documents in, send them down there, digitally apply for it. Hey, same day you're missing this, no problem. Pop, it gets in there. We need that. So whatever that is, we're involved now for 250, and as well as I do, Tim, these vendors that we deal with software, they get bought out by multiple other places. We don't know what the deal is, so we're going to depend on you to give us some accurate information. But we got to commit to getting this done.
because it's not a question of whether it's the value. My question is just we've already spent this money. We need to assess how it's being spent and what's going on.
And I
They
think
should
now
by 2021 to not have data by 2023. So there's another problem is my.
well, now that we have the
Somewhere in
commissioner involved, I think we're going to get to the bottom of it. What do you think, Mr. Commissioner? Yeah.
Database in, database out. There's another issue that's a problem.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right. Thank you very much. And that was I've lost. We were done with the transaction. We were in old business. That's right. Dealer portal update. So if that concludes the discussion, I think we'll move to the next one on Valley View Motors.
This is a handful.
Good set of topics.
This is a good one.
I do apologize to everybody, but I want to make sure these things are out on the table before I leave. and not hidden and dying someplace. Okay, Valley View Motors. I'm gonna try my best to summarize the situation. Valley View Motors is an independent dealership. The owner's name is Munns, who came before the board. July 10th, 2023 board meeting, the board assessed a $1,000 civil penalty, which was waived if the dealership received a satisfactory inspection. The dealership did not receive a satisfactory inspection because it did not have all their records. Our records showed that she had 6 sales and she only had records for 4 sales, so she did not pass the inspection. January the 8th, 2024 board meeting. Ms. Munns came before the board again and pleaded her case, and the board allowed her a reprieve, gave her until February the 16th to achieve the satisfactory inspection or pay the $1,000 civil penalty. In the meantime, during all these periods, Ms. Munns is a dealership who habitually changes her operating hours. She changes them 3-4 times a week. Sometimes she changes them a couple times in a day. There's no way we can be up to date on her operating hours. So we go by what's in the system and we get there and her thing is, I changed my hours. I'm not working today, or I'm not scheduled to be here. But anyway, over a period of time, we tried to get out there to do the inspection. She also complained that the home inspector for her particular area, she felt was a little biased toward her or after her. So we brought an inspector in from another region to inspect her to address that concern. And when we did that, then there came the conspiracy theory that we were doing things in cahoots because he showed up on the same day she got the email telling her that a new inspector would be there. She didn't expect it to be so quickly. But anyway, we had the burden of proof to show that she did in fact have 6 sales. So we had to coordinate with DMV's data management division to get an ad hoc report run to identify those 6 sales. Once we got that back from DMV, we went back again to do the inspection. We got there, the outside inspector got there, and again, she was closed because she had changed her hours. I have a list of her a list of her submissions to change her hours is about that thick. about maybe at least 50 to 100 times she's changed it since she last saw you guys. And the field rep was unable to do so, but the field rep made an observation that he felt that she may be living out of her dealership. He could not tell because she didn't allow him to come inside. The inspection didn't take place as it should have taken place. So I'm here before you to say we got to do something with her or with this dealership. I have a couple recommendations, but that's the update with her. Other dealers, of course, are complaining, as they rightfully should be. We've been very patient with this as we go through the data collection process, the ad hoc process with the DMV data management section to get the report ran to verify this. We tried to go back and talk to her a few times to get this taken care of, but it's just delinquent. So she still has not paid $1,000. She's suspended right now? No. Go ahead.
Did go back to her last reported policy.
Yeah.
We were there when she said she was going to be there. She refused to allow him.
Okay, and this is when we got the thing about living in. Okay. Okay.
What are your recommendations?
So we have two options. First option I would say is that since she has not been inspected, it would go ahead and assess a $1,000 civil penalty. And if she doesn't pay it within a certain time period, then she gets suspended. The second option is something that can happen a little bit more quickly, is the fact that because the appearance of her dealership being lived in was there and witnessed by a field rep, that we could issue her a notice of cancellation in which she has 20 days to respond to tell us why she should be in business and why she should be open. And we can use that to make a determination on.
I've got a question for you. So if we hit her with $1,000 fine for not being available for inspection, is that correct? Okay. Then we can also have a forced inspection. If she doesn't do that, you just suspend her license and move on down.
Well, I think with that criteria would be she pays $1,000 civil penalty, then she'd be in compliance.
What about not having access for inspection purposes? Because when you reject the field rep at your door, that's a violation by itself.
Yeah, we can go back out and do an inspection anytime.
I mean, I think we hit her up with $1,000, get her attention real quick, and then if she rejects us on the next trip, just assess her for that before us, and we just here we go.
You said that you had dealers complaining about her.
Mhm.
What are they complaining about?
Just wanting to know what she's doing. Basically, what she's doing is she's selling, and she's in business. She's selling cars. There's no inventory there, we don't think. We haven't seen any.
Can I comment?
Mhm.
This is a single mom situation. She just, I heard that she sold her house. Okay. I don't know if she's living there or not. I can't tell you. I know that we're not supposed to live there. I think we just slowly, unless you want her with, what's going on and all that stuff right here. I think we probably hit her with $1,000 penalty. Okay. And firm up a little bit longer, just tighten up a little bit. I don't think we hammer down for her license for a minute. She rents U-Haul trucks. She has a car dealer license. She's been trying to sell her dealership. So I think
I don't understand that part of things, because in Harrisonburg, that location is by right. There's no value in the dealership. And
there's no value in the dealership.
Well, she doesn't sell any cars. What is she selling? She's selling real estate.
I have tons of people come through my class that are looking for dealerships. So she has a value in the dealership.
Yeah, this lady, we just keep giving her chance after chance after chance after chance after chance after exception after chance after. It's just.
We don't have her robbing the public in here. We're not over here. She's not beating people over the head. She's not doing anything wrong. She's just got some stuff.
She's not a dealer. She's wasting our time. This is like.
He just brought this up as a side note here. It's like, if it was internal with William, they just find her $1,000 and move from there. So I think we find her $1,000, wake her up. Keep an eye on her.
She pays $1,000 or she appeals it again.
Which field rep did the last inspection? Send Jason back out there again. Keep what's her name out of it. Send Jason back out there the next time. If she's not open, then we just deal with them.
I feel like you're kicking it down the curb. If you tell her that she's going to lose her license if she doesn't show up or doesn't get that done, it's the same thing as the $1,000 fine. I think it's ones you're trying to be a little kinder. They're both still going to the same goal.
Tim, if you and I had a day to ride around the state of Virginia, to look at the small little mom and pop dealerships and the stuff they're dealing with, and They all are like one step off the edge, you know, so we have to be gentle with those folks, especially in this situation here, where we've got a single mom situation. She's running around taking her kid to school, doc's appointments, all that stuff. I just think we ought to slow it down. We don't have an egregious, probably not complaints from consumers. We don't have any legal action going on. It's just she's being difficult, and she may be living her dealership. I don't know. It's illegal. We're going to find out if she is. I just think we slow it down. $1,000 fine is reasonable.
I just want to ask what your thoughts are, Melissa. I mean, I remember you sharing the story. Your startup was real hard. You guys were living in a car. So what are your thoughts on this situation?
My heart breaks. See, I'm not thinking of $1,000 fine. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of this woman needs help.
She does.
Yeah. So I know we're not, you know, we're not the social answer, but we have to have a conscience. And I'm sorry, as someone who has been homeless, to hit somebody, yeah, but to hit somebody with a fine, don't do that.
Well, but if she's not opening the door up and Jason's traveling all the way down there to see her,
Then maybe it's an issue for either social services to come in on, OSHA, because if you're living in a business, you've got problems as far as you can't live
that's
there.
a zoning issue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but if you're
Or keep
living,
OSHA out of it.
yeah, but I'm saying you're living in an air in something. It's like we have an issue in our town right now of somebody is living in their shop, and it's horrible. But it's like, what do you do?
I mean, vote to suspend the fine and just get rid of her license. I mean, she sold 6 cars.
I would not
in a
agree
year.
with you.
She's not doing anything. She's not selling any cars. And if she doesn't have a license, she can live in the place. It doesn't make any difference to us. I mean,
I think she's trying to hang in there.
And she's
What I
in,
think.
where is
No,
she?
but see, the
Harrisonburg?
difference-
Harrisonburg.
But you've got her telling, you've got plenty about the inspectors coming in, constantly changing the time. I would say that you're either avoiding something, which it could very well be that she has lots of these issues, which I do feel for, but is it a business?
It's the only business she has, Tim, and she's hanging on by a thread. And I'm telling you, when she came in here before, she came with a whole box of prescriptions. She's like, I've been, you know, because, you know, Big Pharma's giving her everything under the plan. So she's probably taken some wrong medicines.
And
I'm
she
just
probably has
guessing.
some mental issues.
She's probably got
also.
some of that going on. I wasn't going to bring that up, but that's probably some of what's going on. But right now she hasn't hurt anybody.
She's a
She owns her
single mom
property.
who's
She owns her property.
I think telling someone like this that they have $1,000 fine is technically a death sentence for her business.
Yeah.
So I think telling her you've got to come up with what your plan is what you would want to do.
What was her plan when she was in here earlier? What did she say she
Her
was going to
plan
do
was
to
to
rectify the
clean up the
situation?
business.
Okay.
It was to sell her house and sell her business and move into a much more manageable situation. I think that's what she's doing. I just think it's overwhelming.
Has she done that?
She sold her house. I understand.
Okay.
I think she sold her house.
Does
So-
she own the property? or
She owns the property where her dealership is.
Is it for sale?
I believe it is, but I don't think it's out there with a realtor, but I think it is for sale.
I think maybe that would, I don't know. I know we don't have any subpoena authority or anything like that, but do we have any means, any mechanism to like call her? Or
Was she a
talk to her?
member of the association, Alvin and Tommy?
No, I don't think she ever did join after she took the class because she never had the money. She had to buy a Christmas present for her son.
So my question is, if, you know, to your point about being humane, and to Tim, to your point, is this a legitimate business? You know, is it worth somebody calling her and saying, hey, look, you said you were going to sell your house, you were going to sell your business, and you were going to clean up your act. You know, we're still, talking about you in the meeting. What's the status of this course of action that you put to us earlier?
Well, just remember, guys and gals, we don't have that. You don't have to sell a car in the state of Virginia to maintain.
I know that.
You don't have, all you have to do is maintain your hours, 20 hours a week, Monday through Friday.
Gotcha. But here's the thing, she's habitually in violation of our rules and regulations. And, to give her a death sentence of $1,000, that is that's tough.
Yeah.
That's hard. But at the same time, her flagrantly not adhering to our standards puts us in a tough spot. And it takes away any real teeth or respect in the Commonwealth of Virginia, because it looks like we don't have standards. And we've got to maintain standards. But I think communication with this lady might go a long way to understanding exactly what the right course of action should be. We're guessing right now.
But what kind of communication can you have when an inspector shows up? She
It-
opens the door a little bit and says no and shuts the door.
That's a great point.
How many,
Why can't you just, I mean, do we have to make a decision today whether to force her to pay the $1,000 fine? Do we have to make that decision?
No, I don't think we have
Okay,
to.
so that can be tabled. We still can't get an inspection, correct?
Yeah, but you can't keep.
Okay, but so we go one more time for an inspection.
18 months.
Yeah, let's
Listen,
make
the
a
reason I said
I'm just saying,
$1,000
send her
fine,
a
guys,
letter.
is because $1,000, and if she sold her house, she could probably do $1,000. She has a property, I believe, is paid for, she can sell. The $1,000 is more the mental thing. We need to fast track her to at least let Jason in the door to do an inspection.
How many motor vehicles does she sell a year?
There were 6 recorded sales.
So she's not living off of it, and she's got a U-Haul business.
She's doing a U-Haul business, and she has, 6 sales.
Why don't you just suspend her license?
Why would we suspend her license?
Because she's not
Because
operating
she's
in the framework of being a dealer.
I'd rather charge her $1,000 fine and I think she's
But
got.
she's
the money
not
to pay it.
conducting motor
I think she has the
vehicles
money to pay
sales.
it.
But I don't want to hear that. That's no, please don't say something like, I think she has the money. You're not in a position to know. And that's as someone who's been in
Well,
that
you guys are
position,
saying
and I
this,
know you
that that's a
understand
death
that.
sentence. We don't know that's a death sentence.
How about this?
Well, it
Is
would be
it-
to most homeless.
Is this proper
She's
if
not
we
she's
say
living in her building.
you need to come to the board meeting in January? We've got $1,000 fine that we're deferring until then. If you come in January, we have this discussion, find out what's exactly happening. And then,
But we
make a
need to
decision
hear.
there with her so we can understand clearly what the situation.
I think the bottom line is, we're a regulatory agency. We need to regulate this woman just like you would anybody else, or this dealer, I shouldn't say woman. This dealer, just like anybody else. I mean, unfortunately, her personal life is not the issue. It's whether or not she is abiding with the rules and regulations. State of
She
Virginia.
may not have the capacity
She's
to
not.
do what we're asking her to do.
Okay, so I think bringing her in front of us is an option. I think it's an option. I've met her before. It's gonna be a handful, let's bring her in.
Keep in mind this, if you suspend her dealer license, she can still do the U-Haul business.
Right.
Yeah.
So if she's not really selling and servicing cars,
Not
doing anything,
exactly.
you're not stopping her from her business. I think your second suggestion of telling her it'll be suspended if she doesn't do certain things is the way to go.
Okay.
I'm more in favor of that as well because she rejected our inspector.
Correct.
And I
That's
have a
not-
real problem with that.
So I make a motion that we suspend her license.
Okay, so
I second it.
let me explain the process again. We will issue her a letter of cancellation. And it was based off the fact that a field rep came to her business, did not look like it was doing any business, so therefore she has to come back to us and give us a plan as to why she should remain open.
That's fair.
And if she doesn't do it within 20 days, we cancel her license.
So is that something you need a motion for?
Can I just interject? Please, so your intent to do that is under, like a notice of intent, to give her a notice of intent to say that it's gonna happen because of the violation, so. This isn't going back to the original decision.
No,
That's done.
no, we won't go to that decision. We're gonna do this based off of the fact that field rep came by her place,
Disallowing.
appear to not be conducting business at their location, didn't see any inventory. Could not get into an inspection, so we think she's not doing business, so we wouldn't cancel her license. We do this every day.
So you don't actually need a motion for that. That's,
Hold on, let me make sure of something. Lisa, that's my point. That's what I said, the left one. Right, and we'll go from there. I got that. That's a process.
The last time we spoke with her, our thing was, we have to pass inspection.
Right.
The $1,000 will be winning. It's not that.
She wouldn't allow the inspection. She wouldn't allow it.
We have been getting complaints. What is going on over here? Why is she allowed? We could come back from him and works that.
so is there any, like, as a board, we don't really need to do anything because you guys had instructions from the last time. The fine her the $1,000 if she didn't pass inspection. She hasn't passed inspection, so you should fine her the $1,000 and send her the letter on that. You should also, as the state off, like, not the board again, you guys should follow your normal procedure and also send a letter that says, hey, by the way, it doesn't look like you're even in business. We're gonna cancel you anyway, so you gotta pay the $1,000 fine or you get canceled, and you gotta respond or you're gonna get canceled, correct? And that's not something the board actually has to instruct you to do. That's
Correct.
just something procedurally you're doing anyway. Okay.
Then that gets back to if we didn't want to issue going back to the original order where it was we suspend $1,000 if you pass a satisfactory inspection. The whole discussion we just had about trying to bring her into compliance without putting her out of business, as frustrating as she is. How do can we suspend that $1,000 later? Is that a board action that comes later?
If
after
she
we
has
give her notice?
a satisfactory inspection, it's gonna be suspended anyway, but she won't let anybody
She
do
already
an
missed-
inspection.
she already missed it.
She missed that day.
Yeah.
She could appeal.
So she could appeal it and then bring it before the board in January.
I don't think she can.
That decision, 30 days, after 30 days, that decision.
Yeah.
So she can't. So,
No, she can't fill it out.
I mean, that's what, so you all can't really act on that. That was a finding that was voted on, that was a decision after 30 days, that's.
So she needs to pay it or she, no.
Or, yeah, or however.
Well, she has to pay it anyway now. There's no way around.
Can she decide not to pay the fine and then just surrender her license? And would we go after the $1,000 at that point if she's no longer a dealer?
Yeah, what we do is,
You would?
yeah, we hold it against her. In case she tries to come back into the business, but we also send her debt set off. The state has a debt set off program. We will notify them that she owes the dealer board $1,000, owes the state $1,000. And I guess if she does any type of income tax return or anything like that, the state could take it from there. Or if she decides to come back into business and be a licensed dealer, we will hold that against her application, have her pay that before we even consider her application.
Doesn't the end of all of our proclamation or decisions say that you can lose your license? I mean, then we're there. I mean, then this is, it's kind of, it's already there.
Yeah, this is unique only because she's the first person, to my knowledge, has ever come before the board, then come back to the board again, and the board extended it or give us some additional latitude. So
We've given her a lot of grace. I'll have to admit we have.
And it kind of is what it is.
But
We don't
again,
need to make a motion.
no. But again, my main thing here is just to make you guys aware of that because I didn't want it lingering or falling off on the wayside. But it's something we've been dealing with for a while now. It took a while to get the various reports we need to confirm the 6 sales. And it took a lot of effort between that and trying to get there to inspect her. So unfortunately, it takes a lot of time, but this is where we are now. Okay, but we'll follow our normal process. So if you hear it again, then hopefully it'll be, you at least should be aware of what's going on with it. And since this is pretty much a new board, most of you have not heard of this or seen this. Only a couple of you have been around for it. It was your first meeting.
It was my first. I was here for the box. All right. Last old business update, association updates from the VADA, VIADA. Alvin or Ann, anything to share with the group?
It's just real quickly, couple of items. I wanted to introduce the board to Mimi Perka. She's a new attorney on our staff. You'll be seeing her over the coming years with me or one or both of us as we go forward. Very happy to have her join us. I apologize that her first morning was spent at the dealer board meeting, but that's okay. Second of all, just wanted to officially say on behalf of VADA that we appreciate all that William has done for this board and with this board over his tenure, and look forward to crossing paths going down the road. But in case this is his last meeting, which I think officially it's supposed to be, wanted to share our gratitude for all that he's done for us in the industry during his time at the dealer board. So
thank you.
Alvin, please.
He let his jacket on.
And we need to record this.
Any recorded.
Williams. On behalf of the Virginia Independent Auto Dealers Association, its board members here present, and the membership of the association, I would like to say thank you, and thank you. Not just for the job that you have done with the Motor Vehicle Dealer Board, but the dealer community as a whole. Your ethical values are over the top. Your response time on the phone is impressive and appreciated many times. You're a respected leader. That is something you're earned, not something that's given to you. Thank you for being direct, authentic, and confident. We will miss you this leadership position. As you retire from the state service, we look forward to the impact that you will continue to make for the betterment of the dealer community. See you on the other side. Thank you so very much. We have a little gift from the Independent Auto Dealers Association.
Oh, small.
The board members here present.
It's like a sportsman.
Thank you very much, William.
Your new position.
Great.
Hope you will use it.
You going into the private, I can see with the Toomey bag into the private.
Show us what you got.
Not a pair of baits. It's not a
Anybody
bait.
back
suit.
all the-
That's not a pair of shoes. You can't fit a pair of shoes in that bag.
This is,
It's a bullshit.
this is totally out of script here, so, how do you open this thing?
We usually pull the box out of the bag.
Here, I'll hold it
There
for
you
you.
go.
There you go.
That's half a week.
Wow.
There's not another little box in there. No.
Oh, oh.
Damn, excuse me.
Ooh, check that out.
Great.
That's nice.
Thank you. I like this. This is nice. Appreciate it. Thank you. Now I need to call my wife and cancel my word. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Very thoughtful and totally unexpected. And I will definitely use it.
Yeah. Transition to new business. All right. We're gonna quickly then transition from that to any old business from the floor that we haven't brought up that folks want to bring up. Seeing none, move to new business. Chair want to recognize his mayor and say a few words.
I also want to say on behalf of the Motor Vehicle Dealer Board, William, I met William probably, gosh, has it been 15 years ago?
About 15 years.
15 years ago, when I had a problem with the DMV customer service center, they would not process my titles because they were trying to charge me tax between my dealership and the finance company, and I was doing repo titles. William was introduced to me by the VIADA. I called him directly. He answered my phone call. He immediately solved the problem. They actually went rogue again a week later and wouldn't pay attention to it. He was second in command at the time. William has proven to me from the beginning that he was a man of solid integrity, that he was a problem solver. He's been available. And like Alvin said, he's helped our dealer community grow, and he's helped us become better dealers just because of who you are. So we thank you very much, and I'd like to give you a standing ovation for that. How about that?
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. I guess I have some remarks when it comes to the executive record report.
Absolutely. Couple things just to follow up on that. So William, thank you. As everyone has said, you've been a good mentor to me as well into this new area that I had no experience at all in when I got on board about a year and a half ago. I do want to now ask the board, William and I've been talking, his last day is Friday. And our search, as I've communicated to all of you, has been ongoing. We've got, it continues to progress, but we're still taking applications likely till the end of November, and we'll start the interview process in December. There will be therefore a gap. My guess is that hopefully, all things going well, we'll have somebody in place in January, and make an offer in December. That's if things go plan. But this is obviously an important position for the board, and we don't want to take it lightly. During that transition period, what I'd like to ask is if anyone would like to put a motion forward to give me the authority to input an interim leader for the organization, somebody who can go in there make sure that the day-to-day is taken care of, help that team transition and help the new person transition in. There's a lot of open issues, I think, as we were just talking about with the IT project and other things. There's a good team over there, and in my experience, good teams should not be left leaderless during a transition period. It's important for them and for us as a board to make sure that the motor vehicle dealer agency is taken care of. So that's my request of the board, is permission to seek and put in an interim leader for, like I said, roughly 2 months until we get the new permanent leader selected by this. I make the motion.
All right, yes. Yeah, I just want to make sure we okay, so the motion is to
Empower the
grant you the authority to hire appointment.
Hire or appoint. Yeah.
Or appoint interim director.
I'll second.
And Christian, any?
You're good? Or to designate.
Yep, that we kind of pre-wired it a little bit. So if that for all those in favor, then say aye.
Aye.
I don't know if I can vote on my own. Any opposed? Nay. All right, I'll report back to you all. We have to work out a few of the logistics on how that actually works in the state government, but we'll be back. Thank you. Now over to William for the criminal background providers report. Okay.
Okay, criminal background provider report. This again is for the board for informational purposes. Most of you were not part of this process when we went through this a few years ago. So I will give you a little background and we'll go from there, but something you need to be aware of, and I'll have a recommendation at the end of it. The criminal background check, as you know, we require a criminal background check on all initial salesperson applications. And this includes ownership or F&I people or key people who may have a license involved in the dealership. The background check that we conduct is not limited to 7 years. It goes back as far as needed. So if somebody has a crime that was committed 25 years ago, the background check should reveal that finding. We do not deny people solely on background checks. If you have a felony offense from 25 years ago, and on your application you so annotate that, then everything is fine. But if you say no offense, and the background check comes back and we see that there was an offense, we would deny your application on a material mistake and go through a process from there. But my reason for bringing to your attention is this. At one point in the past, we had a single provider of all criminal background checks that was called Screening One that we utilized. So the process was, you as a dealer would send us the application, we would send it to Screening One, they would do the background check, send it back to us, and once we got it back, we would process your license or your application with conversation with the dealership, put on what came out of it. That process was causing some issues in terms of processing time, because dealers were sending it to us to process in the mail. It would take sometimes 7 to 14 days for us to receive it. Then it'd take another 7 to 10 days for Screening One to process it, assuming that we got it to them the same day, which we didn't in most cases. And then by the time we got it back, well, as you can see, this is almost 30 days right here alone. So what we did in 2020 was we put the process of getting the criminal background checks on the dealerships. So when the dealerships submitted their applications, they had to include the application for the salesperson along with a code that was on the form that we could access remotely. And this cut down the processing time tremendously. So it worked great. The problem we have now, though, is that when we put this process in place at the time, we had a lot of board members who did not want, a lot of board members who wanted their vendor, their background providers, to be one of our vendors that we're utilizing. We have 9 criminal background check vendors on board right now. We have 9. And I'm just going to tell you, that's just too many. And this is the problem. We are expected to have a password for each technician that's going to access their system to do the criminal background check review. Some of these businesses have gone out of business, have been sold to other vendors, And it's not out of control, but it's a little crazy right now. I would like to see it be similar to something that DMV does with their online vendors. They have 3 or 4. I think they have 3.
3 would be.
3. I think they have a 4th one as well, but the 4th one is limited. This needs to be the same thing. And also, with that said, we're going through a process with them right now where some of them are not in compliance with what our requirements are. And the requirements are pretty straightforward. But I wanted to bring it to your attention so the board will be aware of this, because criminal background check is different from your employment background checks. And I think some board members at the time didn't really grasp the difference between the two. But 9 is way too many. 3 would be ideal, and I think I would probably be okay with 4, but that's a whole lot. So if you come into the office right now and go to the technicians, they have notebooks in which they have all these passwords for all these different vendors just to get to the location to look at the criminal background checks. And for those of you who are wondering why we're doing it that way, we cannot receive the paper documents because they could be altered or manipulated. This way we can go straight to the source where the background check is conducted and see exactly what it says, and it's paperless, it's quick and sufficient. But since we started this process back in 2020, the processing times for our applications has been greatly improved. Now, this past summer, we had a little issue because we had 2 technicians out on short-term disability for most of the summer. So we fell back into the 15 to 20-day time periods in most cases. But when we have everybody there, this process, we get things done within 10 days easily. So I want to again bring it to your attention, and this is something that you will be seeing in the future because we're going through a process right now where we've identified those who are not compliant, and we're about to remove them from our process. In case some of you may be attached to them, we want you to be aware of what the problem is so you have knowledge of it.
So how many of them are there?
Right now, I think we have 9 right now.
You have 9, but the elimination process are the ones that aren't compliant.
Elimination, well, we have one vendor we have one group that's consistent of 4. So, and they're the ones we're talking to. So it's a possibility we could be down to 5 in the next month or 2.
Well, who made that decision? Who was acceptable?
The board did. We came before the board with our recommendation, and the board did not want to pick or choose. They just left it open for everybody to do.
Well, maybe we just need to make a decision on 3. Who's going to make that decision? Come back with the best options?
Yeah, I mean, this is why we're bringing it up. I want you to be aware.
He's doing the best work.
And like I said, you can come back. You can come back to the January board meeting, and you might only have 5. Okay, you might take every stuff before that because they're all under one company, and they don't want to use one login for all 4.
So someone will have the information at the meeting about the options, right?
I would say yes, but they'll be working on it.
Between now and January? So we'll be able to have something to look at then?
I can't promise that, but again, you're gonna have something either January or March for sure. I gotta give them a chance to come up with it and the new person to get in and also see what's going on and be part of it. Okay.
Yeah, we can see what we can get done for the January.
Yeah. If anything, you might get an update in January where they stand. You might find in January that all 9 are compliant with what we've been asking them to do. But I still think if even if that's the case, you got to get down to from the 9 down to 3 or 4. And don't get me wrong, you have a few of them who have huge customers. Like you have one exclusively that uses CarMax, and CarMax has a whole lot of applications per year. You have a few of them out there that only maybe do 4 or 5 a year. So it might be simple mathematics, but that's something that we just have to.
How do you decide which vendor is used when you're doing these?
We don't decide. It's up to the dealer to pick the vendor. Yeah, on our website, we have listed authorized dealers. It's up to you to go to them. Yeah, now the board itself, when we have somebody, let's say you submit an application that didn't have a vendor on it, we're going to go to a screening one, who we used before. We have a relationship with them, we'll use them. But otherwise, you have the choice of picking somebody that you might want to do.
We probably could have done that in the beginning.
We tried. We came in here with the people, with the board members, and a lot of board members were taking it personal. They wanted their background provider to also be the criminal background provider. And they left it at that time. I think it was.
Or was it their reasoning because they thought they were taking too long?
we didn't get into those details.
So really, you just need one. You just need one.
Well, we had one at one time.
They're all already on that.
Yeah,
Not
we had
a good
one
idea.
one time, and we felt we had, and for us to put it back on the dealership, we thought we had to have some options on this.
Well, probably three of them would be good
Yeah,
enough, and we can
three
we can
options.
vote on that one. Come back and have the information.
Good.
Doesn't seem like a hard thing to do.
So again, I just want you to be aware of it, so when it comes back before you, you have a little background. And I'm sure when time comes, you'll get more background as well, but that's one of the challenges that we'll face with.
Okay, so thank you, sir. Is there any other new business from the floor?
I'd like to make a motion that the dealer board spend whatever necessary to have a really nice plaque for Williams, something you can hang on the wall. Remember all the times we clocked him and beat him up and made him do stuff he didn't want to do.
I'll second that.
Yeah, second by Don Sullivan.
All right, all those in favor of a plaque for the executive director, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Is there any limitation like five, seven? What's up?
I'd like to have a big trophy like
Yeah.
that. Karate Kid.
3 by 6 foot.
Get one big enough.
We're getting
to get
a
truck
bronze
to take
bust
home.
of his head.
Karate
Things
Kid.
to remember is
All
still
down
up
the
in the-
karate tournament trophy.
Yeah, we can have all our heads, you know, for him to take home.
Smile at it for the rest of the fight.
All right,
Are we gonna vote?
we are, no, we just did.
We did.
Y'all voted.
So is there moving to the executive director's report and decisions?
Well, no decisions were made since the last board meeting, so there's nothing to report. But I do want to take this opportunity to thank the board itself for employing me as the executive director. This has probably been one of the highlights of my life so far in terms of work. For those of you who don't, my staff can verify this. I am not a workaholic, but I don't miss work. I come to work every day, regardless of what's going on. My last vacation was, I want to say, in 2017, either that or the latter part of 2016. But that's by choice. It's not because of the work. It's because I like what I do. I like coming to work and I like being around the staff. So I want to thank the board for employing me. I've learned a lot. I have a lot to learn still. The job itself has been very challenging, is what you want sometimes. Sometimes it's too challenging, but you adjust and you grow from that. I've had a unique experience in getting to know a lot of the board members over the years. Great people, great family people, great business people, a lot of respect for you and what you do. I will be the first person to tell you, when I accepted this job back in 2016, my first words to a lot of my staff was that the dealer community has a lot of crooks in it. And that was based off people I was dealing with at DMV who were having issues. But since I've come into this position, I got a chance to meet with a lot of board members, association people as well. And I know that, like everything else, it's the rotten apples in the barrel that spoils it for everybody else.
Yep.
So I want to thank you for having me. Thank you for working with me. Thank you for being patient with some of the things we're dealing with. One of the things that I don't do is make excuses. The dealer board by statute is probably severely undermanned, but I'm okay with that. We make the best of what we got, the best we can do. Latasha, thank you for the day for stepping in for Alice. Alice had an incident at home a few weeks ago. She's out on short-term disability, and we had to put this thing together the best we could. We missed a few things, but for the most part, all the information got out that needed to get out. I'm hoping that we have all the notes so we can do the post-meeting as well. But that's the type of team that I've been working with for the last 9 years. And no matter what's going on, we found a way to get it done, and which is all you can ask for. I want to thank the trade associations, the VADA and the VIADA, for working with me in conversations and meetings. Ann Gabrielle, it's been a pleasure to be around you and talk to you over the years. I've known Ann probably almost 15, 20 years. Okay, since 2008. Since 2008. So it's been a pleasure doing it. And Alvin, you've been on for a few years now. I'm impressed with the way you come on board and move your organization forward. I think it's been a great thing for the community itself. To Chris, I've known you for a long time, probably longer than anybody else around here, other than Ann. But again, thank you for the conversations. Thank you for being genuine. And I hope that if anything, that when we had our conversations, you felt that I was being straightforward and sincere with you, because I have nothing to lose. The only thing that I do have that's of value is my integrity and my word. Then that's very important to me. But most important, I need to thank my staff. When I came into that building on February 9th, 2016, they were probably going, what the hell is going on here? Because they had no idea I was coming over there. No idea. And as they found out, in case you have not worked with me, I have a workplace of humor, a little bit of sarcasm, but all love. I'm a family person first. I've told them from day one, family comes first. I need you to address your family issues, because if you do that, then I know you can get your work done here. So I always deferred or erred on the side of their taking care of the families. A lot of laughter, a lot of emergencies, a lot of unplanned for things, a lot of things that have never happened before. When I came on board in 2016, the Tesla issue was getting hot and heavy at the time. I came into it not knowing what was going on with it. Learned a lot through that. Still going on. Still a lot to learn with it, but that's fine. But my staff, I thank you for being flexible. Thank you for hearing me out. Sometimes my logic didn't make sense to you, but you asked the questions to understand where I was coming from. You were very willing to change when changes were needed. And even though we're trying to sometimes move for the better of the community, you made a lot of sacrifices that I asked you to make, and I really appreciate the loyalty shown and displayed over the years. It means a lot to me. And if I can help you in any kind of way, I'm always there for you. Again, I thank you. And while I'm thanking my staff, I also want to thank the DMV Vehicle Service Administration as well. That's where I came from, to the dealer board. The relationships are still there. We still communicate. And I think we worked very well together. And I think my background with DMV was a tremendous help in my transition in this position. So thank you guys on the DMV side as well. Kristen, you're here representing, so thank you. And you working as well. So I thank you for that, for being there and for helping me along the way. I'm going to miss this on a lot of fronts. And on a lot of fronts, I'm not going to miss it. But the truth is, it's time to move on and do something different. And I think I need to do it while I can do it. I have a lot of things I want to pursue outside of work that I'm looking into as well. But I will be around, I will see people, and I will be there if needed and when needed. So again, thank you. I appreciate you. And I couldn't have done none of this without you, your support. Thanks again.
Thank you. Thank you very much, William. As we move to adjourn the meeting, just to let you guys know, I took some action items. I don't normally summarize these things, but given the transition, I'm going to do that. I will be back in touch with each of you separately. That by regulation, that's what I need to do. Sending everybody an email or replying all everybody constitutes a meeting. So that's why you receive individual emails from me. Those of you who raised your hands and some of you who did not were volunteered for the selection process. We will be going through a 3-step process of resume screening, first round interviews, and the final round interviews. The final round interviews will be a public meeting, and we will announce that and make sure that we do that in accordance with all the right codes and regulations. I will also be back in touch with you on the interim executive director placement just as soon as I have all the details worked out. My expectation will be as soon as the end of this week, if I can get everything arranged the way I would like to. For those in the motor vehicle dealer board, I'll pop over and see you guys for the first time. Hopefully this week, because you'll let me in the building. And then, we'll stay close throughout the transition. It should be a really exciting time for everybody. And William's been very supportive throughout the process. I'll follow up on the plaque for William. I will get into a little bit of the discussion on the IT project. I don't expect to have an answer for that until the January meeting, but that's what we'll try to do. We'll do a recommendation on the background vendors. Again, aspirationally, we'll target the January meeting, and then I'll work with Williams folks to make that happen, because that'll be right during the period where we're transitioning somebody new in, so they can't just jump in on that. And then inspections of power sports and trailers franchises. Let's take the class in December, and then I doubt that we'll have an answer by January, but we can have a discussion in January or set up a committee or something like that. All right. Before I adjourn, anything else? All right, formally adjourn the full board meeting of the Motor Vehicle Dealer Board. Thank you. Have a great week and happy Thanksgiving, everybody.